Hello, good afternoon, good evening, NRL and motorsport fans the world over. Welcome to the semifinal round of the NRL's fifth season. Yes, it feels like only yesterday we were doing the pre-qualifying round for this season, and here we are, approaching the crescendo of this season. My name is Toon, and Leo and I are accompanied by a rather special guest this evening. We are accompanied by the one, the only, the Tuesday Night Lobby extraordinaire, T-Case. T-Case, it has been 2 seasons since you and I have been on an NRL broadcast together, and it's been 3 seasons since you were on a Friday show. How's it feel to be back?
Oh, Toon, it is fantastic to be back. Always a pleasure to be back in the booth with you and Leo. While we've done some things outside of the NRL together, it's great to be back together here on a Friday night with the two of you.
Really glad to hear that, and also really glad to have you back over here for a change. Leo, it has been an action-packed season for our drivers. How are you feeling now that we've hit the elimination round?
Toon, I'm feeling confident that these guys are going to have to drive the wheels off these vehicles that they've got in store or to drive tonight. Very difficult tracks and difficult cars, so I'm excited as always to see what they got to do to win.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm pretty excited myself. Now, before we go and take a look at the overall standings for Friday Racers, we would love to give a special thanks to our sponsors. We here at the NRL would like to extend a special thank you to Hankey's Tavern in the charming area of Old Town Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. The weather is warming up and the days are getting longer. Why not spend your Friday evening at Hankey's Tavern? They have great drinks, a great atmosphere, and fantastic food. If you're in the St. Louis area, then head on over and watch the race live and get you a super comfortable Hankey's Racing t-shirt while you're over there. If you see Mark, be sure to tell him that the NRL sent you, and thank you, Hankey's, for sponsoring the NRL. As always, if you ain't first, we're open till 1 a.m. We would also love to extend a special thank you to Little J CPA. Tax season may now officially be over, but making sure your accounting needs are met has no off-season. So if you want to make sure everything is in order for the next tax season, then check them out and steer clear of tax troubles with Little J CPA. Now, with all of that said, let's move on to the overall standings for Friday. Pressure is mounting for our drivers with this being the elimination round, and looking at the current overall standings for Division B, we have PHG Shaggy Doo 88 in P1 with 51 points. We have Plies Pangolin over in P2 with 43 points. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Friday and Saturday. Sugar Shuffles taking the last spot on the podium with 30, followed by Arnax with 28. Followed by Bandit rounding out our top 5 with Old Man Pip in P6 with 25, followed by Mr. Ormond with 23. Coming in P8 down the order is Spawn with 22, with Slick SHVR2 tied with PHG Lead Pencil with 20 points. We also have a two-way tie for P11 with Stumpy and Corridor, both rocking 17 points under their belts. In P13, we have Arrow with 16, followed by RSR Zilla with 12 at the moment. Making our way down the order into P15, we have Parquet with 11, with Angry Fredbird and Krulok tied in P16 with 10 points apop. Making our way down the order, we also have PHG Horn of Plenty and BHR Johnny Boy tied for P18 with 8 points each. Beef Castle is sitting in P20 with 6. P. Rosal in P21 with 2 points. We have a three-way tie for P22 between J Senior, PHG Strict 9, and MDOP, all with 1. And then tied for 25th, we have a four-way tie between BHR's Fernando Button, Santa Miguel, S7R Shadow Chef, and Z48 Car, all unfortunately sitting with 0 points, but that doesn't mean they're out yet. We still have more racing to come ahead, so don't lose hope. Making our way over to the A standings, taking the overall lead in Division A is Wid with 51 points, followed by MMR Moose 21 with 36. Rounding out our podium will be Bobajito CBR with 33, followed by Jorge Sr. with 31 points, with Talon rounding out our top 5 with 28. Coming in a tie for P6, we have PHG, Fast Cougar QC, and S7R Nuke with 25 points apiece, followed by Cyrus Nicky in P8 with 24 points. Coming in a tie for P9, we have PHG Lyric and The Truth Serum with 16 each, followed by PHG Rick Shear with 15 points. Got a tie for P12 with Alicos and Almost Podium with 14 points, with P14 belonging to Subi with 12. But he's not alone, because he is tied with PHG Caper for 12, followed by Chief Apollo in P16 with 11. A three-way shootout for P17 between PHG Salamander MN, Digital Relay, and Dark and Azrael with 10 apop. We have PHG Papa in P20 at the moment with 6 points, followed by PHG Sheldologist with 2, tied with GI Boku and RSR Ace R1 as well. In a three-way tie for P24, we have Luis, Belmora, and Lagtastics with 1. And then tied for P27, we have Deputy Fishtail and Bandit 1. Taking all this into consideration, I say it's time we go and take a look at what the semifinal round entails for these drivers, which means it's time we go and take a look at our Friday Division B race. For this extremely important semifinal round, our Division B drivers shall go to the land of the rising sun as they race around Fuji in the Group 4 Nissan GTR for 20 laps. They will have racing mediums, softs, they will have intermediates and wets all available to them with no required tires. There'll be a 10-minute qualifier with 3 times tire and 2 times fuel. There will be BOP on with brake balance allowed, and there is heavy mechanical damage. Moving on over to the point spread for this race, I will leave you in the trusty hands of our lovely T-Case. T-Case, take it away.
Absolutely, Toon. So for points allocation, we have the race winner getting 25 points, second place getting 18 points, and third place getting 15 points. It then moves down from there, fourth all the way to 10th, with 10th getting 1 point. This is based on the F1 model of points. So if you're familiar with F1, you'll understand how this works. We also give 1 extra point for fastest lap. So putting in that last ditch effort to get the fastest lap is definitely worth it, especially for these drivers on the bubble. The top 14 of Division B overall, that includes Friday and Saturday, will move on to the finals.
Thank you, sir. Very happy to have you here. Making our way over to the driver lineup, we have Angry Fredbird, Arnax, Beef Castle, BHR's Fernando Button, Corridor 71, J Senior, Krulov, PHG Mr. Ormond, PHG Shaggy Doo 88, PHG Strick 9, RSR Zilla, Stumpy, Sugar Shuffles, and Z48 Car. Listed under their names are their team affiliations or free agency, whichever one is applicable, as well as their YouTube and or Twitch presences. Feel free to go and check these guys out, see if they're streaming, but if you do, please make sure to leave this tab unmuted. That way you don't miss any of the racing action. Okay, no secret, I do not like Fuji. Fuji is one of the banes of my existence, but you two, for some reason, like it. What is there to like about this? The straight is extremely long, which, I mean, I don't mind a long straight, especially for a start-finish, but outside of the start-finish straight, there's just nothing good about this track.
Toon, you couldn't be more wrong, man. Yeah, yes, the straight is amazing. You got a turn one similar to the GP circuit at Nürburgring, which is an excellent overtaking position. Then you got a little short straight into a very fast left-hander, and then a long right-hander where it has multiple lines. You don't have to hug the inside. You can go outside as well. And then, thankfully, this layout has the chicane. I absolutely love the little chicane in the start of the third sector here. It's a lot of fun. Another big braking zone, a great place to overtake. And then you go through the tight technical portion before setting yourself up for that big long straight. So there's a lot of, it's almost like a chess match. You got to set yourself up for the overtakes here. And I think it is absolutely fantastic.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll have to see how this chess game goes for our drivers as we jump on board with Jesser, or Jay Sr., who is a free agent. Last time we saw him was in round 2 at Kyoto's Yamagiwa, where he finished P12. He is currently sitting P22 overall. Auto clinching scenario, he needs to beat RSR Zilla by 12 points. You can find him on Twitch at Jesser. And as we get the outlap going and they approach the chicane, I just do not know how to take that chicane. It is, I don't know.
Slowly.
Something about it yeah, extremely slowly. But as we jump on over to Corridor 71, who is getting ready to head up to the last turn, which I will admit, this is a fun one, especially if you can get a cutback set up properly. I can never do it, but when you can get it right, oh, it's great. Corridor 71 is a free agent. We saw him last time in Yamagiwa, where he finished P7, currently sitting P11 overall. Now, for him to auto clinch his spot in the finals, he needs to score 25 points, and you can find him on YouTube at Corridor 7110. Now, coming down this insanely long start finish straight, which is also a downhill braking zone, should throw out. Might not look like it. It's very easy to outbrake yourself. Run a little wide and get onto the curbing. So it looks like Corridor is definitely getting the rhythm in there. And this is Fuji. Fuji and Rain go hand in hand. Am I mistaken, Leo?
You are not. Most places I've seen or raced at on Fuji, it's been in the rain every single time. And while it's fun in the dry, it's pretty fun in the wet too. A little more demanding, more concentration, a lot more understeer, unfortunately, with the rain. So these guys are gonna have to deal with that if it does.
Yeah, I don't know if fun and rain belong in the same sentence, but I'll take your word for it. As we see Corridor coming into the chicane, taking a good chunk on the right and then stabilizing it for the left. Not a bad run through there at all. Get it on the curbing, bouncing from curb to curb, trying to keep a tight line. Oh, I'm sorry, running a little bit out and bringing it back in as he comes up towards the final turn. Let's see how he's going to approach this. Starting with a sort of wide entry and then bringing her back on in for the start-finish straight. Now, this is a four-wheel drive Group 4 car, and if memory serves me right, the four-wheel drives do have pretty solid acceleration, right, Leo?
Yes, they do. They're able to pull out of the corner a lot faster than most of your front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive vehicles because they do have more traction because of the all-wheel drive system. Now, with GT7 though, with four-wheel drive cars, that means the front tires are going to wear out very quickly.
Okay. Now as we jump on board with Sugar Shuffles, who's sitting in P5 at the moment by only 0.02 of a second behind Jay Sr. Sugar Shuffles is a free agent. We saw him last round in Yamagiwa, where he had a fantastic shootout at the end of the race with PhD Shaggy Doo, and he's currently sitting P3 overall. To auto clinch a spot in the finals, all he needs is 7 points. And it looks like we had somebody go way off up ahead. And you can also find Sugar Shuffles streaming right now on YouTube at Sugar Shuffles, all one word. Just make sure you leave this tab unmuted, folks. And who did we just see doing a spot of rally crossing?
That was Arnax. Yeah, I'm actually on board with Arnax right now. It just went a little too deep. That's a really long turn, easy to get wrong there if you try to get on the gas. And with these all-wheel drive cars, they do understeer a lot, like Leo was saying, and those fronts start to get worn out. So we can expect to see a good bit of that as the qualifying and race progress.
All right, thank you for the insight, T-Case. Now, as one who does a lot of unconventional racing, I know you've had your lobbies where you've used four-wheel drive cars, probably cars that have brake bias. Does changing the brake bias in these cars help with the tire degradation on the front tires?
It does, but it's in the braking zones is where it helps. So when you smash on the brakes, if you have the brake bias set to the rear, it's going to grip those rears more than the fronts, which will wear the rear tires out. Also allow the car to rotate a little better. However, this track only has 2 heavy braking zones. The rest of it is very much throttle control, maybe a light tap on the brake. So a lot of that tire wear is coming from the understeer. It's coming from holding that steering wheel to the right in most cases and trying to get on the throttle as soon as possible. So it'll help a little bit, but we're still going to see those fronts really wear out.
Understood. And then, yeah, these guys better have a pretty solid pit strategy up ahead. Now, as we jump on board with the overall leader for Division B, Shaggy Doo, currently part of Team Papa's House of Game and is sitting P1 overall. We saw him P1 in Yamagiwa, and there's nothing he really needs to do to clinch a spot in the finals. He's clinched it, so he could have a great race. He could have he could just have a snowballing race where it's one thing after another. Like, regardless of how he finishes, he's in the finals. So I think the pressure is definitely off the Minister of Speed for PHG, as he also goes purple by 1/100th of a second as he's coming through the chicane, and just he decorated his GTR to look like a Subaru. I just noticed that.
As
Classic Shaggy.
Yeah, I guess that is pretty on theme for him. But as we see Shaggy heading towards the final corner, his tires are looking pretty solid at the moment. And what kind of line will he be taking? A rather tight line. Okay. And onto the start-finish straight, carrying quite a bit of speed. Let's see if he can set another purple lap as he comes across the line here in 3, 2, 1. What will it be, Shaggy? And it looks like he wasn't able to go purple, and it was down by 1/10 of a second. As we jump on over to our next, who was doing a spot of rally crossing earlier and also has Mr. Herbert on the back of his car. Okay. Rounding out his outlap, Arnax is a free agent. We saw him last time in round 2 at Yamagiwa, where he finished P5 P5 in the race, P4 overall, and he just needs 9 points to auto clinch a spot in the final. So this should be a relatively stress-free race for Arnax. Now, as we see Arnax making his way into turn 2, a little bit of understeer, but I think that's par for the course with these cars. I also see over on the side that Shaggy's decided to opt for the mediums. I guess he might be done qualifying at the moment. And into the braking zone, how much of the curb will it take? Not a whole lot. Okay, playing it a little conservative, not bad. Now, for the eagle-eyed viewers, you can see we have the picture-in-picture view for Jesser, who is rounding out his hot lap at the moment. Now, Arnax is up by 1/10 of a second, almost 2/10, coming into the chicane. This is really a spot where these drivers could lose quite a bit of time, Leo.
Yes, indeed. Going through that chicane, you've got to take it pretty slow. I found if you take it too wide, you won't get the line coming out. Take it too narrow, still won't get the line. You gotta hit that thing just right, kind of like a Goldilocks moment, to get out of there and onto that tight hairpin of a left turn after that.
Yeah, that seems way too complicated, but I'm glad you understand how it works, because I can never get it right. I pretty much have to fluke it to be able to get it right, and looks like Arnax didn't get a fluke whatsoever, because he just went up by almost 1/4 of a second, and Corridor's up by 2/1000 of a second right now. So let's see how this shakes up. Coming into the sweeping right-hander, doing a little bit of lift to bring it back on in, back on the throttle, playing with it a little, trying to keep the car in the right direction, into the braking zone. It looks like he might just slightly miss the apex, and he is going to make do with what he's got. Coming up towards the second time check and the chicane. What is he looking like right now? Looks like he's up by 1/4 of a second, but doesn't appear to be purple for some reason. Huh.
I think that might be a game issue, because Yeah, being up that much definitely puts him ahead of Shaggy for sure.
Yeah, I think GT's having a little trouble with the math, but let's see how he does coming up towards the last corner. He's definitely got quite the bit of momentum on him. So into the final corner, taking a wide line out, bringing it on in, and off he goes. This is going to be for P1. Can he pull the last minute upset? This is the final crack at it as he comes across the penalty line. This is for all the marbles. Can he do it? Did he carry enough momentum for it? And he does! By almost a quarter of a second. Corridor 71 pulls the last minute pole position. Congrats. What a lap from Corridor.
Fantastic. I love to see that. You know, Shaggy, he was confident with his time, and yeah, he doesn't really, I mean, he could just not do this race and still make it in for the most part based on how many points he has. However, you know, it's always nice to see somebody upset the person sitting on pole and take it away from them right on the last lap. That's fun to see.
Oh yeah, it's always great to see a last minute disruption of the status quo just when everybody thinks it's all locked in. But anyway, let's go and take a look at the classified qualifying results. So, taking P1, as we mentioned before, will be Corridor 71 with the last second 145.523. Just about a quarter of a second ahead of P2's Shaggy Doo. Rounding out our podium will be Stumpy with a 146.033, so half second off of pole, but still really close. Making our way down the order, we have PHG Mr. Ormond, followed by Jesser, rounding out the top 5. Sugar Shuffles will sit comfortably in P6, followed by RSR Zilla in P7. We have Arnax in P8, followed by PHG's Strict 9, fittingly in P9, with Angry Fredbird rounding out our top 10. Making our way down the order, we have Krulab 11 in P11, fitting with the numbers, and BHR's Fernando Button rounding out our racers for this round. That was quite the qualifying session we saw, and it was bone dry out there, TKs.
Yeah, it really was, you know, but I mean, Japan is a rather small island for it being an entire country, and when you're on an island, it can rain at any moment. A lot of moisture in the air. It can come down at any moment. I do want to point out, while I did say that, you know, Shaggy is good to make it to the finals, he is still fighting for grid position. So, you know, where he finishes in the points does matter as far as where he starts in the finals. So it's not all gravy for him at the moment. He still needs to do some work to make sure he starts up at the front.
Very astute. I definitely wasn't thinking about that. So yeah. Every little point matters. Leo, seeing as how they're fighting for grid position, you have fought for grid position before in an NRL final. What's that like?
It's terrifying, to be honest, because you're trying to push yourself to the absolute limit to make it to that final, and you think you've got it, and it's just sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't. You don't know until the very end, and it's nerve-wracking, to be honest.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I'm glad we could get a racer's perspective from you on that, because as somebody who's never done something like this, I just would not know what it's like. But the drivers are lined up, so it is time we wait for those lights to turn on and then turn off. This is the elimination round. Every little point matters, and the lights are on for all the marbles. How is this going to shape up? And they are off. Corridor 71 will be leading the charge with Shaggy in P2, and it looks like Corridor had a pretty solid start, but judging by that delta on the side, it looks like Shaggy had a slightly better start. Coming into turn 1, Stumpy's up into P2, now down into P4, and is off track at the moment. Rounding turn 1, doesn't look like we had any major drama to speak of. So it looks like everybody's going to just have to start filing in. Corridor was able to regain P1 after that turn. And look at all of those sharks in the water right now. Shaggy is just gunning it right there. A little bit of a bump draft onto Corridor as they start coming into turn 4. Looks like Corridor was able to get a pretty solid run, but not solid enough because it looks like Shaggy is still in the slipstream. This chicane up ahead is going to be make or break for several of these drivers. Coming up into it, how is this going to shape up, especially with Shaggy in a form of dirty air? Looks like he got a little squirrely, but was able to hold on to it. We jump on over to Stumpy over in P5, kind of in the thick of all of this. He leads his way into the penultimate corner. How is he going to fare? Going a little wide, oh, very wide, and trying to bring it back in. Ooh, the understeer just got him. That might cost him position to Zilla, but looks like Stumpy will be able to hold on to the position as he comes up into the final turn and onto the start-finish straight. Now looking at the driver card for Stumpy, Stumpy is part of Team Brew Crew. Last time we saw him was in round 2 at Yamagiwa, where he finished P9. He's currently sitting P11 overall. To auto-clinch a spot in the finals, he will need 25 points. And you can find him over on YouTube at StumpyGT, all one word. Now, TKs, as you're cycling through the grid, has there been anybody doing a bit of an odd strategy? Because I've seen a lot of medium drivers. Do we see anybody starting on the softs?
No, I take that back. Fernando Button, and this makes a lot more sense. Fernando Button started on the softs. He did move up 2 positions, but got himself a half a second penalty. And the penalty line here is brutal. It's at the very start of that long straight. So he did gain a couple positions, but then he has now fallen back and is in P11. But you are seeing the tire advantage against these other drivers on the mediums.
Thank you, TKs. So we do have one soft runner. We got a bunch of medium runners, so we'll just have to wait and see how that shakes up as we jump on board with Mr. Ormond, who had a dynamite showing last round in Yamagiwa between himself, Shaggy, and I believe it was Arnax, or it was Sugar Shuffles. It was Sugar Shuffles. Okay, yeah. It was a 3-way shootout for P1 for quite a while, and my goodness, what a race that was.
Yeah, I think it's about to repeat itself.
I am definitely inclined to agree with you as we see Sugar Shuffles getting right up on Mr. Ormond, but avoiding contact. Excellent car control from Sugar Shuffles. As we start the second run through the start-finish straight, where honestly you could definitely get an overtake done with how long this straight is if you can use all that slipstream. Looks like Stumpy will take the fastest lap at the moment. And coming on into turn 1, this dirty air will definitely come back and bite somebody if you're not paying attention. Ooh, looks like we've got we've got 3 abreast racing. It looks like they pulled off. Sugar Shuffles was able to hold off Stumpy. This track is so wide, we could probably see 5 wide at some point should the cards fall that way. Now, with Sugar Shuffles being like kind of in the thick of it and being a spectator to Ormond and Shaggy do you think he took notes from last round and is gonna try and change it up a little bit, Leo?
Knowing RJ, probably not. He's probably gonna sit back, wait for these 2 guys to fight yet again, because that's what it's looking like it's gonna be. Maybe he'll put the attack on a little sooner than he did last go around.
Yeah, I think he might do that too. As we look at Ormond getting a little squirrely coming out of the chicane, but looks like he does have a pretty decent gap, all things considered, between himself and Shaggy, but that gap is definitely closing down as Shaggy is getting closer and closer in that rear view mirror. Coming up towards the last corner, will anybody try a cutback? Will anybody send it up the inside? Looks like Shaggy was poking his nose, but Ormond just slowly closed that door on him. So he'll be able to retain his P2 positioning for the moment. It looks like Sugar Shuffles is also going to maintain P4 at the moment as we move on over to P11 with Angry Fredbird. Looks like him, Krulov, and Fernando Button all have a pretty solid battle going on. Fernando serving a 1-second penalty for possible track limit infringement. And Angry Fredbird sets the new personal fastest lap at the moment. And coming into turn 1, will we see any sort of overtaking for Krulov coming into this? Andrew Fredbird is a part of Team Left Lane Motorsports. We saw him last round at Yamagiwa, where he finished P6. Really sitting P16 overall. Auto clinching the finals, he needs to beat RSR Zilla by 3 points, and you can find him on YouTube at Angry Fredbird. Looks like Fred will be able to hold off Krulov and Fernando for the time being, but there's definitely going to be battles all over this place. And as we take a look at Krulov, he is part of Team UFO. Finished P8 last round at Yamagiwa, sitting P16 overall. Also, to clinch the final round, we'll need to beat RSR Zilla by 3 points. You can find him on YouTube at Matthew Bulwark 7374, all one word. Coming up into the chicane, looks like Krulov, just gets it slightly wrong, but is able to get back on track and rally crossing. It looked like he was about to spin for a second. Luckily, he was able to hold on to it. That could have gotten really ugly. But luckily, we still have plenty of racing left, so don't feel discouraged as we're on lap 4 of 20. We got a nice little three-way shootout here for P7 between Strychnine, Zilla, and Arnax. And it looks like it's going to be a drag race into turn 1. Who had the better run out of the last turn? It looks like it might be Arnax, but that delta is not moving too much. Nope, never mind. I misspoke. Arnax is slowly pulling away, but Strychnine does have the inside line. Never mind. Arnax will take the inside line. And will Strychnine be able to get it stopped in time? He does. Could he get a cutback going? No, it doesn't look like it. And we've got almost 3 wide racing again. Slight little bump on the derriere from Strychnine onto Arnax to propel him a little bit forward. Zilla has the inside line. Nope. Now Arnax has it. So it looks like that was definitely a close one.
This is good battling. We got 2 battles going on here. The picture and then on the main screen. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely exciting stuff. Unfortunately, I think with all the battling, Zilla forgot to turn his hazards off. But looks like Strychnine, Arnax, and Zilla are going to be seeing each other for quite a while. And I know they say rain is a great equalizer, so we'll just have to see how true that statement is for these Division B drivers, especially knowing that this is the elimination round. So they have to drive as close to perfect as possible. Looks like Shaggy Doo will get past Mr. Ormond and hold onto it. And Mr. Ormond unfortunately gets a half-second penalty that he will have to serve on the start-finish straight. So that will cost him positioning to Sugar Shuffles and Stumpy. It looks like Sugar Shuffles was able to shoot it up the inside line and was almost able to hold on to P3, but in just a second he'll be getting that back anyway, so might as well get some slip while he can. As Ormond serves the penalty, there we go. He falls into P5, which means Sugar Shuffles and Stumpy will be able to capitalize on those positions. As we see, Stumpy is using that slipstream, getting right below, or getting right behind Sugar Shuffles and just revving the daylights out of 5th gear. I didn't expect that. I thought you would shift up to 60, Case.
Yeah, I think in this car on that long straight, you end up losing. It's not worth it to shift up into 6, and it also helps you in that heavy braking zone to already be at the high RPMs in 5th gear. You'll find that on a lot of these long straights, especially in the Group 4 cars, it benefits you just to rev it out and helps you going into that final turn, because upshifting isn't going to give you that much more of an advantage. And we're seeing how strong this slipstream really is. When we had the 2 going side by side into turn 1,
hey,
the person on the inside, yep, and it causes you to lose that slipstream when you pull out to try to go on the inside. So we're seeing a really heavy duty train going. We're seeing several drivers bump drafting each other along the straights and waiting till turn 1 to make their move.
All right, I see. Now with the way this car handles, it's quite interesting to see, especially because it kind of throws into question like how you go about your racing, because with some of these cars you can easily go and shift up, you don't have to worry about all the understeer, but like this is a 4-wheel drive Group 4 car. It is inherently an understeer machine, so that really throws quite a bit of a wrench into the plans. I know the Group 4 cars, at least the four-wheel drive Group 4 cars, they've kind of crept their way back up into the meta, so I just don't know if that translates over to Fuji, because we never really see it, Leo.
Yeah, unfortunately, this track doesn't come up very often, and it's mainly in the Group 3s or in the high downforce cars. Haven't seen too many Group 4 races here, but it's honestly looks like a pretty fun race to do. A few laps doing this, and I was like, okay, this is pretty solid. Now, I did notice when these guys are going around this track, they are taking completely different lines than you would than with the Group 3 or any of the high downforce cars, because they have to, for one, and it just works out better taking the shorter line into these corners for this Group 4 car.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Now, as we look at Sugar Specials, as we ride shotgun with him, he's definitely getting closer to Shaggy, ever so slightly. Looks like he was able to pull away from Stumpy, and looks like Mr. Ormond fell into P6 between battling with Jesser. So it looks like they've kind of fanned out just a teensy bit. Corridor's definitely just off in a race of his own at the moment, and I think that's going to do Corridor a lot of good, especially if he can carry that momentum. Now, going on to the start-finish straight, when the slipstream will start bringing everybody back together, the gaggle of cars is getting ever closer and getting up into turn one. This is going to get really interesting to see, especially as we are approaching the halfway point for this race. And judging from the skies so far, it doesn't look like we've got really any rain in the foreseeable future. But Fuji is full of surprises, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Mr. Ormond going a bit wide. That's going to cost him positioning to Arnax, but he does have the inside line for the next corner, but Ormond will fall in tow. And as they go in, looks like they both got through it pretty safely. Ormond was able to carry quite a bit of momentum and is just right all over Arnax's bumper. Coming up into the next turn, Arnax holding the inside line and Ormond taking a wider line. He should be able to carry quite a bit of momentum. It's very interesting to see how this is going to transpire, especially because these tires are starting to fall off, but I know there is no inherent tire advantage between Arnax and Mr. Ormond. Coming up into the chicane, looks like Arnax will hold on to the... Yep, he will hold on to positioning at the moment. And yeah, we're at lap 8 of 20, and we're already seeing these mediums fall off. Leo, do you think we'll be seeing pit stops start rolling in soon?
I do. As that tire wear does start to go down, especially about the halfway point, like we've stated before, the car will get super undrivable pretty much nowadays. And it looks like we might have them going in now, or they're doing the... Yep, we actually have them going in now.
All right, well, looks like it showed up sooner rather than later, so it's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers leave this pit stop, because if they take the mediums or the softs, then we know there's no rain coming up, but looks can be deceiving, so we might see somebody get brave and try and beat the rain? I'm not 100% sure. But TK, so what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, so far what I've been seeing, so we saw Fernando Button, well, we didn't see it, I saw it. Fernando Button on the soft boxed a lap earlier than everybody else. And now we got these runners who stayed out, still on the mediums, all pretty much have good tire life left. Shaggy, Sugar Shuffles, Ormond, Zilla, and Fernando all did their pit stops and are on fresh mediums. Now, the advantage with this car being a Group 4 all-wheel drive GTR is even when it starts to rain, as long as that moisture meter doesn't get halfway, you can actually survive on the slick tires. Now, it's not going to be the fastest tire, but you can survive. You're not going to risk spinning out. You do have to brake early. So depending on what they're seeing on their radar, it might be that they can, push it and make it a little bit farther on the slick tires. But clearly some of these drivers have practiced and done enough to know that, hey, it's worth coming in and getting a fresh set than running slower lap times.
Yeah, indeed. And it looks like it is starting to get a little bit hazy, and the wind is, they've definitely got a strong headwind now onto that start-finish straight. So, yeah, it looks like the rain it's a-coming. And coming up into turn one with Corridor, who's about 4.5 seconds ahead of Jay Senior in P2. He's definitely got quite a bit of tire life on those mediums, so I don't know if we'll be seeing Corridor go into the box anytime soon. Now, jumping back,
if I were him, I would wait until the last minute and dive in for inners if that comes down to it.
Okay, that's actually not a bad idea, especially because he has the tire life to spare, and depending on how long this rain lasts, it might just turn it into a one-stop race for him. But yeah, this wind is definitely starting to kick up, and by the laws of nature, that means the clouds are going to start rolling in even faster. Looks like it's starting to get a little dark. That could be just due to some dense cloud coverage, or it could be the sun going down. It is hard telling, but looks like Krulov over in P9 has a pretty solid space between himself and Sugar Shuffles and Mr. Ormond, so that does give the opportunity for Krulov to kind of breathe a little, and should the rain come down sooner than he would really like, he won't be as likely to accidentally hit somebody. Now, Shaggy just went up by 0.09 of a second purple, so if he carries that momentum, he could get a new fastest lap on the board. And in a race where every single point counts, yeah, I could definitely see why getting that fastest lap would be very pivotal right now.
Toon, something I want to point out is Jay Senior Jesser, he started P5. He's now in P2 and less than 4 seconds behind Corridor. He stayed out along with Corridor, so they seem to be on the same strategy. And I mean, just based on track position alone, I mean, that's a huge jump going from P5 to second. So depending on what happens with this weather, I think these one-stoppers, they might be onto something. Now, we can't see the radar, and it is looking very dark out there. It's getting grayer and grayer by the second, but I think these guys might be onto something.
I highly concur. They are definitely onto something, and they do have an advantage that we here in the booth don't, where they can see what's going on with the weather radar. And Shaggy is holding quite the pace right now. Wasn't able to set a new fastest lap, but there's still plenty of time to make that happen. Ooh, Mr. Ormond has a half-second penalty. It is just not his race at the moment, but luckily he still has 9 laps to bounce back, so there's still plenty of opportunity to make an improvement. Now, Ormond is about half-second behind Krulov at the moment, but with that half-second penalty, it's probably more like a full second. As they come up into the chicane, Ormond's tires are very fresh, and depending on the amount of rain, as you alluded to earlier, TKs, he might not need to hop on the intermediates. But it's hard telling at this moment. And looks like...
Keep going, sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was going to say, in this race, as he runs wide, oh my goodness, he runs wide. It allows Ormond to take the position. They're going to hold it, get a much better exit, and serve this penalty here. And I think they might be able to survive this down to turn 1. They're going in the pits there, so definitely good on Ormond. And Zilla is far enough behind that they might have a battle going into turn 1. I'll let you talk us through it.
Sounds good. So as we approach turn 1, we've got them almost too wide. Ormond has the inside line. Zilla is coming into the braking zone. And it looks like he's going to bring the car in. Will he take a tight line out? No, he will not. He will use all the track afforded to him, as one should. And will start trying to chase down Mr. Ormond. That gap is dropping by the 100th at the moment. and Zilla takes a good chunk out of that turn and is able to carry quite a bit of speed. So now that gap to Ormond is falling even faster. Zilla is definitely falling into a rhythm. Ormond kicking up a little bit of dirt, but not enough to cause a ruckus. And Zilla takes a good amount of the curbing on the left as he makes that turn. And yeah, now he's just got to find the prime opportunity to strike and overtake Mr. Ormond as they come up into the chicane. Will Zilla be able to get it done this go-around? Doesn't look like it. Car looking a little tail happy, but is able to hold on to it. Now getting ever closer to Mr. Ormond, and will Zilla find his opportunity to strike here? This is a very popular overtaking corner for this circuit. It does not look like it at the moment. Luckily, the final corner is just as popular to get an overtake done. So how is this going to shake up? Both of them taking what appears to be a wider line than bringing it in, and no change of position at the moment. Coming onto the start-finish line, it is definitely turning slate gray out there, so it could be rain time any second now, as there are now 7 laps left for these drivers up from Zilla. So within the next 7 laps, we could be seeing a false alarm, we could be seeing just a light drizzle, or we could see torrential downpour. It is a guessing game right now, and going through turn 1, Ormond is definitely defending his position magnificently. Was able to pull away from Zilla at the moment. Coming up into turn 2, and no real change there. So yeah, I think Ormond's kind of getting into a flow and is able to start defending and finding every opportunity possible to start pulling away from Zilla. So really, it looks like they've kind of fallen in tow. So the real deciding factor for that battle is going to be, will there be a penalty or will there be a mistake? So we jump on over to Sugar Shuffles, who is about 1.5 seconds behind Shaggy Doo and is about 10 seconds ahead of Mr. Ormond. Coming up into the penultimate corner, taking a solid line, getting a little bit of the curbing on the left and getting over to the curbing on the right. Yep, you can definitely see these drivers have practiced because they're consistently hitting some of these marks. And, well, practice makes perfect. Looks like Shaggy is starting to pull away, but not too much, as Sugar Shuffles is able to start closing the gap ever so slightly. And, yeah, it's getting hazy. I don't know.
Yeah, the track temperature is probably dropping too, and when the track temperature drops, that makes these tires a lot less grippy, especially with drivers like Stumpy, who's, man, that front left has seen better days.
Yeah, that front left has that front left is pretty much done, and there can't be a lot of grip right now. I know the lack of grip is what caused Krulov earlier to take such a wide line and go off course. So Stumpy's going to have to be pretty careful with how he goes about navigating this circuit if he's just trying to pit when the rain comes in. Coming up into the chicane, Arnax does have the tire life advantage. And will he be able to get around Stumpy, knowing that Stumpy's tires are... I mean, judging by how Stumpy's driving, Arnax has to know that his tires are starting to fall off, at least somewhat. What's getting me is just the difference in tire life, especially on that front left between Stumpy and Arnax. It's almost a night and day difference. So I don't know if it's just driving style, input method, or what. But Arnax is kind of getting into a position to get quite a bit of momentum out of the last corner. And onto the start-finish straight, he's starting to slowly close up on Stumpy. So if Arnax could just carry this momentum, I think he might be able to get a podium spot before the pits, Leo. There's 5 laps left, though.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get real brave either in turn 1 or that last turn going on to the straight. He's gonna have to pretty much full send it and hope it sticks. But unfortunately, with the way Arnax's tires are looking, I wouldn't gamble that until the end. just for the simple fact of those are two very heavy turning corners with that left front about midway through, so he's going to feel all the understeer in the world.
That he will. And over in the picture-in-picture display, we see there's a battle for P6 right now between Shaggy and Fredbird. Now,
I think Shaggy's going to take it. Shaggy takes it.
All right.
Goes around the outside. Beautiful. Beautiful move. So that's the fresher tires right there just coming into play, because Angry Fredbird's tires are looking a lot like Stumpy's, and Shaggy boxed well earlier, and he's making his way through.
Now, that's all very good to know, T-Case, and I just want to quickly draw our attention to the battle for P3, as it looks like Arnex is trying to line up a shot to get the overtake done on Stumpy. He's been waiting patiently, he's been playing the long game, and will it finally pay dividends as they come onto the start-finish straight? That gap has remained about half a second between the two. It looks like Stumpy will be going into the pits and getting off of those tires. There's only going to be 4 laps left after everybody crosses the start-finish line. So if the rain's coming, it's probably going to come within the next couple laps, just judging by the atmosphere. Making on our way over to a replay as we see the battle between Shaggy and Angry Fredbird. Shaggy taking the outside line, and yeah, those tires are definitely coming into play. Just the amount of grip Shaggy has, it just dwarfs what was on Fredbird's car, and he was able to just get the overtake done. No fuss, no fireworks, nothing. Just a quick and clean overtake, and yeah, you've really got to pay attention to your tires, folks.
And Stumpy came out on the intermediates after his pit stop, so maybe he's seeing something on the radar as we see Angry Fredbird with the wipers on, and he's got the full wets.
Okay, so we will be seeing rain here in the very near future, but this will now raise the age-old question. Which was the better choice, the intermediates or the wets? We'll just have to wait and see once the rain starts coming down. Now, Corridor definitely needs to go in and hit the pits because his front left is just absolutely toast right now. He's also got one J Senior in tow by just slightly over a second. J Senior does have a 7-second gap between himself and Arnax at the moment. Now, coming on around into the last turn, and looks like Corridor will be heading into the pits. J Senior might want to do the same. Did Corridor changed his mind? Okay. Oh, as the rain comes out. Oh, that's going to be a track lane penalty. Or, I'm sorry, pit lane penalty. And Jay Sr. bravely defends the home front and stays out on the mediums. Very warm mediums, I might add. Looking at Arnax, his tires aren't looking too hot either. So, moving over to Strict 9, he's going into the box. And looks like Shaggy will stay on the mediums. So maybe they're trusting their gut. Sugar Shuffles goes in and boxes on the mediums. So all those medium runners that decide to stay out, this is a very dangerous game y'all are playing. I know it's an elimination round, but there's no moisture over near turn 1. Interesting. Did it just blow over quick, T-Case?
I think so. The wind's been blowing strong, and I'm flipping through here, and we got drivers on wets, intermediates, and the first one on the intermediates was Stumpy, and he outbroke himself going into the chicane and got overtaken twice. And I'm looking at the moisture meter, and there's a couple parts of the track where it kind of spikes up, but overall, it looks pretty dry out there.
Interesting. Now, yeah, so I guess staying on the mediums was the right call. Now, as we look at Jay Sr., who, rain or no rain, is going to have to box. Those tires cannot survive another 3 laps, Leo.
No, they cannot, unfortunately. I know he would be hoping that they would, but with the way they were looking, it ain't going to happen.
Now, moving over to the battle for P5 between Zilla and Mr. Ormond. Looks like Zilla is about over 3/4 of a second behind Mr. Ormond at the moment, but doesn't appear to be a case of Zilla catching up at the moment. Arnex has gone into the box. It looks like Orban is going to just start pulling away. There must be a tire life advantage between those two at the moment. And Shaggy has gone into the pits, and it looks like Zilla has gone into the pits, but did he get into pit lane a little too late? He cut, it appeared he cut the left side. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens after that. But yeah, we've got Arnex on the wets. Corridor is on the wet. Did he not get a...
No, he got a 3-second penalty. He did.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, if he got a 3-second pen, I didn't see it because he is right there side by side with Arnex as the rain starts coming down for the last 2 laps of this race. Now, TK's is Arnex on the intermediate? Nope, he's on the wets just like Corridor. Never mind.
A lot of these drivers are on the wets. Only a couple went onto the inters, and as the rain comes down, and if you look at that moisture meter in the bottom left-hand corner, it's getting up into that second, third, which is an indication that you need intermediate tires at the bare minimum. So any driver out, such as Jay Senior, who's still on those mediums, this is where he's really going to start to struggle.
Yeah, he's definitely going to struggle. And as we've got Jay Senior heading towards the start-finish straight, I hope he sees sense and goes and boxes, because I don't think a no-stop with this rain is going to be viable.
Yep, and I think he just heard you, Toon.
All right, good to know. Now, it looks like Arnex will not be able to get an overtake on Corridor at the moment, but if Arnex is able to carry this pace and stay near Corridor, he's definitely got a comfortable P2 in his future. Make our way over to Stumpy in P4, who will jump up into P3 depending on how fast he can get past Jay Senior, who's in the box right now. If Stumpy can also keep it tidy, he'll wind up on the podium as well. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how this all shakes up. Looks like Jay Senior had enough time to get a free pit stop.
Holy cow!
Oh my goodness!
He's looking like a genius. He's looking like a genius right now.
I honestly thought Corridor played the smart move with going into the pits, but yeah, Jay Senior was able to roll the dice, and as we start the penultimate lap, is able to hold on to P1. So Jay Senior will have to just, keep everything in order. That rain is definitely approaching the last third of the bar, so we're definitely the right call here. Doesn't look like there's any drama, so to speak, with adapting to the wet conditions. Oh, never mind. Arnex goes way off, but is able to get it back on track. He was just inches away from that wall, too.
Yeah, good save, good save. That's the advantage of these all-wheel drives. I mean, you're less likely to do a full spin. You can kind of correct it and allow the drivetrain to save you when you make a mistake like that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Arnex did pick up a half-second penalty, but given the gap between himself and Stumpy, it's really not going to affect him. He's still over 4 seconds, actually almost 4.5 seconds ahead of Stumpy at the moment, and he is a second and a half behind Corridor, so as long as Arnex doesn't have any more drama for the rest of the race, P3 could be his. And in this elimination round, P3 will get you a healthy chunk of change in terms of points. Now coming on towards the penalty line, Arnex will be serving his half second, and Stumpy is also now getting onto the start-finish straight. But unfortunately, he was just too far behind, and he's also on quite worn intermediates, I might add. I guess the rain just didn't kick in fast enough for Stumpy to really capitalize on it, so he's going to have to contend with that.
Yeah, he was the first one to go onto any type of alternate tire, so he was an early gamble there.
Yep, it was an early gamble, and for a moment when we had that splash of rain, I thought it was going to be one of those, he just predicted it right, but it was just a quick splash and dash in terms of rain. Unfortunately, it just wasn't in his favor this go around, but given where he's at on the board, it's still a really good amount of points. We jump on over to Angry Fredbird, who is almost half a second behind Sugar Shuffle at the moment. He's opened up the tail light of Zilla and also P7 ahead of him. So there's still definitely plenty of positions. We may be on the final lap, but it's hard telling what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we've seen drivers outbrake themselves and go too deep. So when they're this packed up together, I think, yeah, you're right. Anything really can happen here.
Yeah, anything can happen, and we'll have to see if anything will happen. These drivers are definitely taking it a little bit delicately as this rain is just dumping on down. Now, Angry Fredbird does appear to be closing up to Sugar Shuffles, at least by a decent amount. Coming into the chicane, this is, yeah, you have to be pretty careful, especially in the rain. But making our way up to our race leader, Jay Sr. pulled the 300 IQ race move and comes across the line to take P1. Congratulations to Jay Sr. on the semifinal race victory, and it looks like Corridor will take P2. And quite close behind, mind you, is Arnax. Taking P4 will be PHG, Shaggy Doo, and Stumpy rounding out the top 5. Definitely a good amount of points for all of those drivers. As the rest of these drivers start coming across the line, it looks like it will be a very, damp finish, but it looks like there won't be really any drama as they all start coming across the line. No real issues to speak of. We're glad to see it. Now jumping on over to Fernando Button, who is coming towards the last corner for the final time. Keeping it nice and steady, just delicately getting onto that throttle, which, yeah, I'd be doing that too. Ooh, going a little bit wide, but wasn't enough to warrant a track limit infringement. No, it does not appear to be so. So, looks like Fernando was able to avoid a penalty and will now come across the line. And that just leaves Krulov rounding out our racers, and he makes it without any drama. Actually, speaking of going without any drama, I didn't see a single bit of damage on anybody. That's nice to see. But congratulations to Jay Sr., who raises 4 positions to get the race victory. Let's go on and take a look at the provisional results. T-Case, would you like to take this?
Absolutely. So we have Jay Sr. winning the race, followed by Corridor P2, Arnax in P3. That's our podium. Then we have PHG Shaggy Doo in P4, Stumpy in P5. P6, we have PHG Strict9. And let me point out, Stumpy did get the fastest lap of a 146.432. They get an extra point for that. P7, we have PHG Mr. Ormond. And P8, RSR Zilla. P9, Mr. Sugar Shuffles. P10, Angry Fedbird. BHR Fernando Button. And P11, and Krulov and P12.
Thank you, TK. We had quite the race there. That rain came at the 11th hour, and it really threw the drivers through a loop, especially with that first pass. Leo, what did you think of what we just witnessed?
It threw me for a loop too with that rain coming at the end, the very end. If I was in their shoes, I would have been so thrown off because I would have had a strategy and then would have had to change it at the last second, like I'm pretty sure Jay Sr. did.
Yeah, Jay Sr. just really pulled a brilliant move out with that one. It was, I didn't expect it. I thought when I saw Corridor go into the pits that Jay Sr. was going to go in too, just because they were so equal on the tire life. But I mean, I guess Jay Sr. is a gambling man and was able to just carry on with it. It was brilliant, like nothing short of brilliant. Yeah. Now let's get into our post-race interview where we will start with Arnax. Arnax, how are you feeling after that race?
Pretty good, actually.
Happy to hear that. So, when the first pass of rain came down, were you able to see enough onto the weather radar to know that it wasn't going to stick? Or were you kind of sitting there thinking, oh boy, now the rain's here?
No, it didn't seem to be too much rain, and I waited a bit, and then I saw that it was coming off before coming back again. So I decided to stay out and pit only when it was really coming in. But a bit too early. Jay did a better job at that, pitting a lap later.
All right, I gotcha. T-Case, any questions for Mr. Arnax?
Yeah, Arnax, great job, man. You did fantastic. You started P8, finished P3. Prior to this race, you were sitting P3 overall in the standings and or in the Friday standings. When starting P8, were you a little discouraged starting that far back, or did you still feel confident that you could make your way up to the podium?
And I know I'm slow, so I wasn't disappointed. 8 is my level, and then I had a good strategy. That's all. So I'm not the fastest.
For a slow driver, you're doing really, really well. I'll tell you that much, man. That's fantastic. I think your consistency, smooth and steady, really paid off here. Having a good strategy and keeping your cool. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, now Leo, any questions for our P3 recipient this evening?
Yeah, congratulations, Arnax. I guess my question would be, how much practice did you put into what your strategy would be for this race?
Not too much. It was pretty obvious. I did run a single player custom lobby, whatever it's called, and yeah, I saw the rain wasn't coming strong until the very end, so I figured the medium and getting them to last as long as possible was the best strategy. And given my speed again, for faster guys, it probably wasn't the best strategy, but for me, it was good.
Indeed, it was. Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, congratulations indeed. And I think that was enough points to get you to the final. So I guess sit back, relax, and just pay close attention to how Division B shakes up tomorrow. Have yourself a great rest of your night, Arnax.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right, making our way up the order, we will go over to Corridor 71. Corridor, how are you doing?
Still very with my heartbeat very high, but yeah, I'm doing good and I'm happy with the podium.
Yeah, you had a great start in qualifying and a great start to the race. Honestly, I thought you had P1 in the bag. You were just right in those mediums till there was nothing left. How did you manage to keep control of the car with that front left being so far down?
I would say just go to the basics, not brake at 100%, but like 80%, brake earlier, let the car roll on the turns, and instead of really pushing. Just that, but they didn't last as much as I wanted, but still did a good job on the mediums.
Yeah, you definitely made it look easy. T-Case?
Yeah, you did make it look easy. I want you to, if you don't mind, talk us through your emotions when you realized you got that 3-second penalty going into the pits.
Actually, it was absolutely expected because I changed my mind on pitting or not on that lap very late. I knew for sure I would have that penalty. But, it's a split-second decision. Very quickly, you have to decide, okay, do I get the 3-second penalty that might be like 6-7 seconds in the end because it's at the beginning of the straight? Or do I risk having these worn-out tires with rain and perhaps losing 15, 20 seconds if I go off track? So I decided to willingly accept the 3-second penalty.
Well, I mean, I think wasn't ideal, but that to be able to think like that quickly in the moment and change your mind like that shows some really great racecraft. I thought you did a great job. You had a fantastic qualifying. It's looking like you're looking pretty good for the finals as well. So congratulations, man. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Leo, any questions for our P2 recipient tonight?
Of course. Congratulations, Core. It's good to see you up here.
Thank
It's been a little while.
Yeah, it took me forever.
I guess my question would be, when you were deciding to come in for the first stint, were you surprised to see Jay Sr. stay out like he did, past what you went?
That's a tough question. Yes and no. Yes, because I knew his tires wouldn't be much better than mine. So I said, okay, he's taking the risk of being with those tires on the rain. But also, the only real practice race that I have was with him. So I knew he's willingly to take those risks. And I said, okay, he's going for that. We will see in a few minutes who was right. And he was right. Congratulations to him, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You put up a fantastic race, Corridor, and I have no doubt we'll be seeing you in the finals. So I guess just sit tight and pay close attention to how Saturday does tomorrow. Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, guys. You do a great job. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. And I would take a moment for our race victor. Honestly, I did not expect to see a lot of what we witnessed this race, but it looks like our race victor is here. So, Jay Sr., Jesser, whichever one you prefer, how are you doing?
Yo, what's up? Hey man, I'm relieved right now. I'm relieved right now, man. I had so much stress on me, man. I performed so poorly in the first two races. I felt like a black cat was sitting behind me or something, like, through weeks 1 and 2. But so I knew I had to practice a little bit more, come up with a good strategy, because I knew I wasn't the fastest driver. So I kind of just relied on my strategy, pretty much.
I gotcha. So, speaking of your strategy, how much of a gamble was it when you decided to stay out on those extremely worn tires when Corridor went into the pits?
Not really, man. I was really waiting for guys to pit, because I was actually practicing all week this strategy, and I could make those medium tires last 20 laps. So I knew that I would stretch them out further than everybody else. And I saw, like, in all the practice races, like the rain was like coming like lap 17, 18, 19, 20. It was like, 3 or 4 laps that I had to be on the wet. So I was like, okay, if these guys get in front of me because they're faster than me, if I just keep my pace and keep, take care of my tires, in the end, I'll make that time back up, which is what I pretty much did.
Yeah, and you did it magnificently, T-Case.
Yeah, Jay Senior, man, I was saying, I don't know if you could hear in the broadcast, you're just looking like a genius out there. We were all questioning when Corridor bolted into the pits and you stayed out, and we were itching to see where you were going to come out. And you came out, you were like 10 seconds ahead after that. And it just, I mean, beautiful.
Yeah, man.
You look like a genius, man. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that your practice paid off. At any point, were you second guessing what you were doing?
No. Because like I said, I was doing like 1 or 2 races a day, whether it was with the guys that helped me practice, that had the lobbies open and stuff, and hey man, look, all the Group B drivers were giving me, great advice throughout the whole season, giving me strategies and stuff like that, especially when I wasn't practicing like I should have been. But yeah, man, everybody's real cool, man. I really enjoy racing with everybody. I just wanted to go 1 more week further, man. So I kind of like put all my eggs in this basket. But when he went in initially, I wanted to follow him in. I was actually getting ready to follow him in, I think that lap or the lap behind that, but I knew how slow the rain moved. And you could ride on like hard and medium tires still in the rain when it like first starts. So I saw how hard it moved, and I was like, as long as it's not blue, I'm good. So I kept pushing it till I started seeing the blue. I said, okay, on this lap, the water's gonna turn up a little bit on the track. So that's when I pitted. I waited till the very last minute, and it was perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
I came around that last corner, and then the blue started. I was like, man. So yeah, man,
It really was perfect. And I'm looking at the standings here, and we'll have to wait and see, how Division B tomorrow plays out, but this looking like it's gonna move you forward. So this was the race you needed, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. Hey, man, I want to tell everybody that racing the race, man. Congratulations. Everybody did a good race. Everybody showed up and everybody gave it all. Nobody was out there driving dirty. Like I said, man, everybody was friendly, man. Just like passing on advice and stuff like that, man. So I'm really enjoying myself in this league.
Awesome.
Really happy to hear that, Leo.
Yeah, congratulations on your win there. How hard was
Appreciate
it to control the car with those mediums being the way they were?
Man, you know what? I just I think I was running like 147, 148s, like, up until like the last lap, I think. So it was, I just wanted to, push it, but not too much, and like not turn my steering wheel too much going around those corners. I try to save every last bit of tire. So, my focus, I was kind of like, man, Corey, he got a good strategy. He's still out here. I was surprised he was out there that long, but I knew my strategy would be a little bit better after practicing with him. But so I was hoping, but he finally, made that turn into the pits, and I kind of thought that, and then he got the penalty too. He got that penalty. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. I was like, because we were right there anyway. I was like, I mean, that's gonna put me ahead a little bit. So, and I knew I was kind of fast on wet tires too. So I ran some pretty good times in the lobbies and stuff. So yeah, man. Hey, I'm over here sweating.
It happens. It happens. Trust me.
Oh man. Yeah, I
But
appreciate everybody in the lobbies too, man. You know what I'm saying? Telling me congratulations and stuff like that in the chat and stuff like that, man. So I appreciate y'all watching this race.
Yeah, you put on an amazing effort, great work, and yeah, like I told the other two, just pay close attention to how Saturday shakes up. But I think you just propelled yourself into the finals. You go get yourself something to drink, get a snack, and you go relax. You've earned it.
All right, man. Y'all I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all do a good job as well, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right. And with all of that said and done, we're going to take a brief intermission while we get everything set up for our Division A race. So just like Jay Sr., go get yourself a snack, go get something to drink, take your dog out, call your mom, do whatever you need, and we will be right back at you here in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to the semifinal round for Friday of the NRL's 5th season. Toon, Leo, Toon, Leo, and T-Case here. Happy to have your company. Brought to you by Hankey's Tavern and Little JCPA. We had quite the Division B race. Definitely unexpected results. Now let's go and take a look at the provisional results for Division B. Now, taking a look at the provisional results pending, well, tomorrow and any potential stewards inquiries, we have PHG Shaggy 88 still leading the charge with 63 points, with Pelias Pangolin and Arnax tied for P2 at 43 points each. Coming in P4 will be Corridor 71 with 35, followed by Sugar Shuffles in P5 with 32. Making our way down the order in P6, we have Mr. Ormond with 29, Stumpy with 28, Bandit with 27, Jay Sr., who won the last race with 26, definitely needed those points. Rounding out our top 10 will be Old Man Pip with 25, with Spawn in P11, followed by Slick SHVR2 and PHG Lead Pencil tied for P12 with 20 points apiece, with PHG Arrow with 16 points sitting in P14. Making our way down the order, we have R. Sarzilla also in P14 with 16 points, with a tie for P16 between Parquet and Angry Fredbird. Krulov in P18 with 10, PHG Strick 9 with 9 points, PHG Horn of Plenty, Johnny Boy, BHR, both tied for P20 with 8 points, with Beef Castle sitting at 6, P. Rosal in P23 with 2, MD Hop 2 sitting in P24 with 1, and a 4-way tie between S7R Shadow Chef, Santa Miguel, Z48 Car 88, and BHR Fernando Button all sitting at 0 at the moment. So Saturday, you've got your benchmarks. You see the provisional standings. If you want to make the finals, you know where you got to sit. Now, with all that said and done, let's go and take a look at the race details for our Division A race for this evening. We're still over in the land of the rising sun. We jumped from Fuji to Suzuka in record time. Air travel, eat your heart out. Our drivers will be driving Suzuka for 20 laps in the Porsche 919 Hybrid 2016. They'll have racing softs, intermediate, and wets available with no required tires. They'll have a 10-minute qualifier. They will have 3 times tire, 4 times fuel wear. BOP is on with brake balance allowed and heavy mechanical damage. Going back over to the point spread, and I will send you all over back to TK so he can refresh everybody's memory on how this works. Take it away, TK.
Yes, so we do follow the F1 model here for points. So that's the race winner getting 25 points, second place 18 points, third place 15 points, and then 4th through 10th going from 12 points all the way down to 1 point. So 10th place still gets you a point, and also you get a point for fastest lap, so that can make or break somebody getting into the finals, getting those fastest lap points. And as a reminder, top 14 of Division A drivers overall, so that includes tonight and tomorrow, will move on to the finals.
Thank you, TK. So glad to have you here to take care of that. Now, making our way over to the driver lineup for our Division A race, we have Alicos, Bobajito CBR, Chief Apollo 11, The True Serum, Dark and Asriel, Deputy Fishtail, Lactastics, PHG Fast Cougar QC, PHG Jorge Sr., PHG Papa, PHG Rick Shear, RSR Ace R1, Scooby 15, and Talon. Listed under their names again are their team affiliations or free agency, whichever one is applicable, and also their YouTube and or Twitch presences. Now make sure to go and check them out, but when you do, leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. Now, I love Suzuka. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Hate Fuji, love Suzuka, so I'm happy to see this track. but I know TK's Suzuka has fallen out of your good graces.
Yeah, it really has. I do enjoy the Suzuka short, but for me, it's the second half of this track, especially Spoon. Spoon, I just cannot get it right to save my life. But it is fun in the higher downforce cars, so I'm excited to see how these 919 hybrids perform.
Yeah, these 919s are definitely they're going to be unique pieces of machinery. And Leo, to take a trip down memory lane, you raced in the season 2 final around Dragon Trail Seaside in this car. Now, you didn't have the luxury of having your brake balance on and BOP, but you guys had to go in and manually tune everything because you also didn't have the assists available to you. How did that feel?
I was actually running some laps with these guys last night in one of Papa's lobbies, and from back then to now, the car feels completely different. Yes, we didn't have any of the assist or anything like that, but we were able to tune downforce, and I think a little bit of the suspension, if my memory serves me right. But with this just being straight, have the car out and brake balance, it feels completely different, honestly. Back then I was pretty fresh to the GT7 stuff. Now I'm a little seasoned and know how to do things with the car. Now I understand what these guys are doing with the brake and the gas at the same time to recharge that hybrid system to get the most power out of it.
That, as we see Papa out and about on his outlap, he is holding a little bit of the brake to charge that hybrid system up very quick. Looking at the driver card, PHG Papa is the proprietor of Papa's House of Games race team. We last saw him last round at Autopolis, where he finished P13, currently sitting P20 overall. To auto-clinch a spot in the finals, he will need to beat Stubby by 7 points. You can find him live on YouTube right now at Papa's House of Game, all one word. And as he starts headed up into turn 1, he's got Chief Apollo right there on the pits. Chief going off, but looks like there wasn't too much drama. Maybe he was just trying to get out of the way of Papa. Going in through the S's, Papa is definitely doing the best he can. He's got wet weather conditions. It's dark. That track is going to be ice cold at the moment. As he starts heading up towards Dunlop Curve, he's definitely got quite the tall order ahead of him, sitting P20 overall. He's in a Group 1 car, also known as an LMP1 car. Heading up into Degna 1 and 2. Avoids the curve on Degna 1, and Degna 2 looks like he also avoids the curve, but is able to get a good start. I just noticed that car really drinks up its hybrid system, TKs, and he outbrakes himself into the hairpin. Okay, saved it.
He saved it, though.
And that's so tricky. These cars rely so much on downforce. That hairpin, the downforce doesn't work. You're not going fast enough. And that's kind of the only part of this track where you aren't able to use the downforce. Maybe the chicane at the very end, but that you see, we're going to see that drivers getting on the throttle a little too quickly with no grip, and yeah, that's going to be tricky.
It's definitely going to be very tricky for these drivers. As we jump on board with the True Serum, who's a part of Team Sector 7 Racing. We saw him last round at Autopolis, where he finished P4, currently sitting P9 overall. And to auto-clinch a spot in the finals, he will need to score a whopping 25 points, so basically a race victory. As he leaves the Casio Triangle and onto the start-finish straight to finish his outlap, he sets a 1:52.898. Not a bad time whatsoever. It doesn't look like anybody coming. Never mind. Jorge Sr. and Fast Cougar dethrone him, as does Subi. Subi sets a whopping 1:51.378. That is a really good time. Now, as we see, Subi is going to start entering the S's. Subi is a free agent. We last saw him last round at Autopolis, where he finished P12, currently sitting P14 overall. To auto-clinch a spot in the finals, he will need 26 points, so he will need a fastest lap and a race victory to automatically secure his seat in the finals. And as he's going purple, I think he might be getting that fastest lap practice in as we speak. Bobagito does have the overall fastest lap right now with a 150.425. Now Subi coming up into Degna 1 and then Degna 2. And look at all that water being kicked up. That is, if I were a VR driver, I would not be having a grand old time right now, especially coming up into this hairpin. It looks like Subi is able to keep the... Oh, and we just saw one go sideways. Exit stage left for Fast Cougar. Coming up towards Spoon, will Subi be able to carry the momentum and carry on with the purple time? Taking a nice line and bringing it back on in and using all the track available for the run out. And it looks like coming up into 130R, will Subi still have purple? We'll have to see. No, he does not. He is up by 0.3, but unfortunately he needs almost an entire second. But luckily we do have just over 6 minutes, so there's still plenty of time. Ooh, getting very close to Deputy Fishtail, but avoiding any drama. Glad to see that.
That really just ruined his lap there, yeah.
Oh yeah, it really did. But luckily, Suzuka is one of those tracks where there are quite a few opportunities to get an overtake done. Let's go and take a quick look at the replay as we jump on board with Fast Cougar. What went wrong here? Looks like just got on the throttle a little too early from the looks of it, Leo.
Yes, he did. Unfortunately, coming out of that turn, if you get on the power too soon, you will find yourself facing that wall very quickly.
And Chief Apollo just took pole by less than 1/10 of a second off of Bobagito. Bobagito had improved their time, but then Chief Apollo came in and just snatched it away.
Well, looks like Chief Apollo is definitely doing everything possible to secure the pole position and as many points as possible. Jumping on over with Fast Cougar, he is a part of Team Papatausa game. We last saw him on Autopolis, where he won and is currently sitting P6 overall. Only needs 13 points to auto clinch a spot in the final. That is definitely a less stressful task. That put you where? Anywhere from P1 to P6? I think? I'm not 100% sure. As we move on over to Jorge Sr., who unfortunately didn't have the best of races last week. I know Jorge is going to be out here on a mission for vengeance, I guess. Definitely try to right the unfortunate events of last week. Jorge Sr. is a part of Team Papa's House of Game. Currently P4 overall. Saw him last round at Autopolis, where he finished P8. Only needs 7 points to clinch a spot in the finals. So some of these drivers definitely don't have to worry about as much, but I mean, since you're still fighting for grid position, every point still matters. And we see Jorge Sr. coming up towards the hairpin. How will this one shake up for him? Avoiding the curb, and it looked like Deputy Fishtail went off for a sec, but was able to get back just fine. As we head up towards Spoon, will Jorge Sr. be able to get a good run through here and get into 130R with quite a bit of momentum? Deputy Fishtail running a little bit slow at the moment, and it looks like that will slow Jorge Sr. down just a tiny bit. And
Dude,
out
I want to
Spoon
point
we
out
go.
something.
Go ahead.
Jorge Sr.'s on the sauce.
Wait. What? Okay, hold on. What? Oh my God, he is.
He is waiting for the track to dry up just enough to go set a really fast time.
Oh my
But there's
goodness.
only 50 seconds left.
He's on his out lap, and it is drying. If we look at the moisture meter on the racing line, it is. This is interesting. Good eye, Leo. Good eye.
Yeah, definitely a good call, Leo. I was not paying attention to that. And yeah, Jorge Sr. has found a drier line, so how's this gonna shake up? coming in through turn 1 and into the S's, hugging the dry line as much as possible. Definitely doing a great job managing that hybrid system, by the way. Coming up towards Dunlop is definitely, definitely dancing around the track. If the track can remain around this dry or even drier, yeah, we might see a very unconventional pole position by the end of this. Coming into Degna 1, getting on the curb just a little bit, and into Degna 2, getting on the curb and belting it on out, short shifting into 4th for stability, and he's gone purple by over a 10th. Coming up into the hairpin, and Deputy Fishtail sends it a little too deep and is able to get around for Jorge Sr., so now it's just clear road ahead of him. I think we're definitely going to be seeing a new fastest lap as we see Jorge Sr. coming up into Spoon. Yeah, it's looking really dry right now. Avoiding the curb as to not take any unnecessary risks, and out he goes. Going up in towards Spoon and the 3rd time check. What is this going to look like? And he is only up by 3/4 of a second, so he's going to have to find some momentum really quick. Coming up into the Casio triangle, getting onto the brakes. First part fine, double shifting up into 3rd and belting it on out. Will this be enough? Will Jorge Sr. pull an unconventional pole position out? And it looks like it won't be the case, but he will start P4. A very, very valiant effort.
With Talon.
All right, let's see what Talon did. And Talon coming across the line with the... Yeah, oh my lord. Talon, way to go.
Who is also on the
did.
box.
Also on
And
the
now
Thank you,
the
Leo.
Truth Serum.
Let me
my
guess.
goodness.
On soft. On soft.
Guys, genius. We're seeing some race IQ tonight. This is amazing.
Yeah, we are. All right. So, Truth is able to put together a good soft lap on a drying track. And is able to take P1, Dark and Azrael, and Talon taking 2 and 3 respectively. I was not expecting that.
No.
In the slightest. But let's go and take a look at the classified qualifiers. Let's see how this all shook up. So taking pole position will be S7R's The True Serum with a 149.308, followed by Dark and Azrael just slightly over a quarter of a second behind him in P2, followed by Talon rounding out our podium. Chief Apollo will take P4 with a personal fastest lap of a 150.341. Not even a 10th behind him, though, is Bobagito from Cornbread Racing. Taking P6 will be Jorge Sr., followed by PHG Papa. Alicos will take P8, and going over to P9, we will have Fast Cougar QC with Lagtastics, rounding out our top 10. Making our way down the order, we have Deputy Fishtail and Subi rounding out our qualifiers for this race. Boy, oh boy. What a qualifier. It's just, I know this is technically the kitchen sink round where everything's being thrown at them, but I did not expect such unconventional driving from our Division A drivers, like hopping on the softs when the track was, still drying. I didn't see that coming. Leo, what was going through your head when you saw them hopping on the softs?
I've actually seen people do that before on a drying surface. I ran a couple of lobbies with people, and towards the end of qualifying, it would start drying up, and I would see people actually dive into the pits or go back to the pits and hop on the softs. Would I be brave enough to do that? No, because I'm not a gambling man like they are, but it is possible, and I've actually seen it done back in Season 2 when Hako at the end decided to go throw on the racing compounds and obliterated everybody's lap time.
All right, fair enough. TKs, what are your thoughts on what we just saw?
To echo Leo, I mean, that's just bravery right there. I couldn't see a dry line, but apparently it was there and they could feel it. I wasn't expecting that, but that shows how much work and effort is put in by these drivers to figure out the best way to do it. And I mean, hats off to those guys for doing it. And we saw it was really whoever was the last one across the line set the fastest time because they had the driest track. I do want to say good job to all those, kind of back markers out there trying to get out of the way. It is difficult to do here at Suzuka. It is a very tight track. So qualifying like that, when they get bunched up, it's really hard to get out of the way, especially when it's dark like this. It's really hard to tell, but I wish these drivers the best of luck because it's going to be tough.
Oh, yeah, it is definitely going to be a tough race for these drivers. But, I mean, they're Division A. I have no doubt in my mind they're going to be able to, chug on through, and we're going to see some fantastic racing. Now, as we wait for the lights to go on and off, it's going to be a wet standing start in a Group 1 car. It's going to be interesting. This is for all the marbles. This is for the final round spots. And they're off with SLR the Truth Serum leading the charge. It looks like there's a little bit of daylight at the moment, so nothing to be too concerned about. It looks like we got Azriel and Truth just side by side, and a little bit of give and take right now. Azriel in P1 at the moment. Truth now in P1. Yeah, they're going too wide through this. Oh my lord. And looks like Dark and Azriel will sit in P2 at the moment as they approach Dunlop Curve. Looks like Truth might be able to get a little bit of breathing room and pull away. But looks like Chief Apollo is all over Dark and Azriel at the moment. Going into Degna 1 and 2, this is going to be really interesting. As they clear Degna 1, everything is fine. And Degna 2, no drama to speak of. Ooh, we have some too wide back there coming out of Degna 2. Coming into the hairpin, this is going to be a very risky game for all of these drivers. Will we see any drama? Does not look like it. Talon taking it nice and easy through there. And
Papa spun in P10, now P11.
Oh no. Let's see if we can get a replay of what happened there. So coming up into the hairpin and getting on the brakes. Just turning it in and just got on the throttle a little too heavily, and good on Papa for being able to get out of the way. That will set him back a little bit. He is down, but certainly not out. As they approach 130R, Azriel is gone!
Good save.
Oh my lord!
Oh.
Ooh, and looks like Fast Crew was able to just get around Azriel. Yeah, it looks like Fast Crew was able to get around Azriel as he was rejoining. That was just unfortunate to see, and it looks like Azriel will have some rear end and back right wheel damage for the moment. That is just unfortunate. It looks like that will afford Jorge Sr. the opportunity to try and get the overtake done in turn 1, and it looks like he might be able to get it to stick. He does. So coming up in the S's, Jorge Sr. is now in P6, and it looks like Alicos is all over the back of Dark and Azriel at this current moment. So it's already unfolding. We've seen spin out through qualifying, two spin out from the race. I think they're just making up for what we didn't really see in the Division B race. But let's see what happened here. Coming into 130R, just dinged the curb and off he went. But was able to hold on to it pretty nicely. Wasn't doing any pirouettes. He bounced off the wall, took some damage, but looks like, all things considered, it could have been worse. It was definitely unfortunate, though, TKs.
And he stayed pointing the right direction, and that's important. The damage is going to hurt him, especially because it's not just bumper damage, which affects the downforce. It's the rear wheel as well. So that's going to affect a lot of things.
Yep, that it will. Now coming out of the spoon, we've got Bobagito a quarter of a second behind Chief Apollo at the moment. It looks like Talon is just about half a second behind Bobagito as well. Coming into 130, will there be any drama, so to speak? And it looks like no. They're avoiding those curves like the plague, and rightfully so. Coming into the Casio Triangle, Bobagito takes quite a bit of the right and just takes a teensy bit of the left, so looks like standard racing line procedure for the Casio Triangle. And on the start finish straight they go. Jorge Sr. currently having the fastest lap at a 152.979. Leo, we're only 3 laps in. We're seeing quite a bit of carnage, so to speak.
Yeah, indeed, Toon. Unfortunately, that's the nature of Suzuka. Them curbs are not friendly when they're wet. You get on them just barely, and you can either be okay or spin out into oblivion.
Yeah, it's a gambling game, but looks like these drivers have definitely been putting in the reps because they're, for the most part, by and large, looking like there's not really any rain on the track. It's pretty much just smooth sailing for all of these guys. Now coming into Degna 2, as we are on board with Alikos, who is a part of Team Infinite Octane Racing, going purple by 800th of a second. Last saw him at Octopolis, where he finished P5. He's currently sitting P13 overall. Needs a race victory to clinch a spot in the finals. You can find Alikos on YouTube at Alikos. And up into Spoon. Looks like everything is kind of mellowing out. I see that Alikos is on the intermediates. TKs, do we have anybody on the wets or a very unconventional tire?
Yeah, well, yes, but not for long. Deputy Fishtail started on the softs, and he made it a lap before doing a lot of 360s, 720s, 1080s, 900s, whichever circle you want to do. And he just got out of the pits, now a minute and 40 seconds behind the leader on the intermediates. Everyone else is on the intermediates. Lactastic also on the intermediates had a little bit of an issue. Didn't crash, but lost control a little bit, and that's allowed Papa to get back up into P9.
All right, thank you, TKs. And I guess with FaZe doing all of those 360s, we might as well call them FaZe Fishtails. Somebody hire it. Now jumping on board.
And Dark and Azrael has kind of consistently dropped back. He's gotten overtaken quite a few times, now sitting in P8. That damage clearly affecting his car.
Yeah, it has to be, especially because it's rear damage that is going to affect the downforce and just the overall handling. Because these LMP cars, Lactastic's getting quite a bit of grass on that one, but they will save it. Going through Dagna 1 seems fine, and Dagna 2 just getting slightly on the apex and belting it out. Lactastic's is part Team Infinite Octane Racing, last seen at Autopolis, where he finished P10, currently sitting P24 overall. To auto clinch a spot on the finals, needs to beat Alikos by 14 points. You can find Lactastic's on YouTube at Smack Attack Mac, all one word. You can also see, as we're going through this, who's really got a firm understanding on how to conserve your hybrid system, and some that are just racing normally. Because we took a look at Lactastics and the hybrid wasn't really there, but as we look at Chief Apollo, Chief is just recharging this thing like crazy. So it's really going to come down to not only being able to survive the rain, but probably just hybrid system management. Chief Apollo is a free agent, last seen at Autopolis, where he finished P8, currently sitting P16 overall. To secure a firm spot in the finals, needs to beat Alikos by 4 points. You can find Chief Apollo on YouTube at Boyd_gaming. And Chief is just dancing through these X's right now, very, very elegantly, might I add. And up towards Dunlop, he is not letting truth out of his sights whatsoever. So it's still anybody's race. We're only a quarter of the way through, and it's hard telling how this is all gonna, transpire, just due to the rain, the slightest air causing somebody to spin out. There's just so many factors. I can't confidently say, in my head, who could take this. As we look at Jorge Sr. is coming into the hairpin behind Fast Cooler, and is delicately getting on the throttle and is able to just center. Coming to, I believe this is, 235 or something? And heading up into coming up into Spoon, getting onto the curve and bringing it back on in. No drama, so to speak, and it looks like everybody is hopping over to the left to try and minimize the distance around the circuit. Very well done. Coming up into the third time check, Jorge Sr. is down by 7/10 and into 130R and into the Casio triangle, holding it nice and neat. It does appear that the track is drying up and it is starting to just chew these intermediates up. Looks like Bobagita will go into the box. So it looks like Bobagita will be the first to hop off the rain tires. It looks like Fast Cougar and Jorge are hopping on the wet line to conserve a little bit of the tire life and cool those tires down. Dark and Avriel has gone into the pits as well. Going through turn 1 and into the S's. Let's see how this is going to shake up. Looks like Jorge is trying to gain on Fast Cougar, but as TK's alluded to earlier, this is a narrow track, so getting overtakes to stick, a little tricky, but with just the way this track is in terms of how windy it is, you can get an overtake. It's just the challenge of making it stick firmly. Coming on up to Truth, who is currently sitting on the wet line, going up into the hairpin. Holding it nice and neat, no drama, so to speak, and looks like traction control giving that nice healthy assist. And as Truth starts working his way up towards Spoon, has a 1 1/4 second lead between himself and Chief Apollo. This track is drying out pretty quick, so yeah, these pit stops are definitely going to start coming in, and I think I think we're going to start seeing the soft runners come in, especially towards the back of the pack, because the track will be even drier for them.
Bobagita was the first one to pit. He is on the softs and he's already on his outlap overtaking Lactastic. So it's looking like if you can stick that dry line, they made the Papa and Bobagita made the right call coming in or 1 lap before the rest of the runners, as long as you can keep it on that dry line.
All right, thanks, TK. Now, there is also one factor we need to consider, too, when you're coming out of the pits. That pit lane, that notoriously dangerous pit lane when it rains. I don't know about you, but when I leave that, even if I just breathe on the throttle, my car spins out. Maybe you have better luck, TKs.
No, you're 100% correct. Anytime when it's wet, the pit lane exit is going to be wet. And this is a very, very long pit lane exit. And so you got to be extra ginger. Most drivers will probably kick on that traction control. And because if you have your foot to the floor, as soon as the pit lane limiter comes off, those tires start spinning.
Yeah, that they do. Now, as we take a look at Bobagita, who didn't do I don't know, is Hidden Valley considered snack themed? I think that's more of a condiment. I mean, it still fits the food brand, but the last few rounds we've seen snacks like Sour Patch Kids, Oreos, so I can't make heads or tails on this one. Leo, does it still count?
Well, I'm a big fan of Hidden Valley Ranch. I know you are, but it's more of a condiment.
A sauce, a dip.
Yes, indeed.
A dressing. Guys, Lactastic, unfortunately, is not able to handle these soft tires. They not only got a 3-second penalty with the pits, they have not been able to keep it on the track on these softs. So while some of these drivers definitely have the confidence to run the softs and keep it on the line, I think there's a bit of a struggle with a few of these drivers.
Let's go and take a look here at the replay. So as we see Lactastics coming up towards the Dunlop curve, just slingshot it off. It's unfortunately snowballing for Lactastics, but we're not even at the halfway point, so a comeback is possible.
And Jorge went into the pits, but the Truth stayed out. The Truth's still on those intermediates.
Yeah, Truth might be pulling a J Senior and riding those things as long as humanly possible before pitting. Maybe trying to get a maybe trying to get a free pit, but it's hard telling. Oh, and we have Chief Apollo off.
Oh.
Chief Apollo just did some pirouettes and rear-ended the wall. That is definitely going to upset the handling of the car. Now it looks like that will buy Jorge Sr. the opportunity to get clean on by. But it looks like Chief will not go down without a fight, of course. Coming up through Dunlop and is really pulling away, even with the rear damage and rear wheel damage as well. Coming up into Degna 1 is able to keep control of the car and going through Degna 2. Yep. Let's go and take a look at what really happened here. So coming up into turn 1, understeered off. Ooh. Maybe just didn't break.
In contact.
Got spun around by Fast Cougar.
Oh man, now that's damage just after coming out of the pits. Oh, that's terrible.
It looked like he got on the wet line.
Yeah.
And understeered off and tried to rejoin, and unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like we have a yellow. TK, do you have any insight who might have caused that yellow?
I don't. Let's see. I'm not sure.
Looks like Crew has gone into the pits, but was there enough of a lead to get out still in P1? No, does not look like it, as Bobagito will be going in and taking P1. Let's take a look at Lactastics coming into the hairpin. Looks like everything is in order there. Moving over to Alicos.
It looks... Who's that? Is that Talon? Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Talon had front end damage. And I just believe the True Serum came out on full wets. So maybe either they made a mistake or they saw something on the radar that we haven't seen.
Well, it looks like the rain is coming back. Harder.
Yep.
So I guess the drivers got to enjoy the softs for at least a little bit, because now we are getting back into full-on wet territory. So Dark and Azrael is still on softs, so playing a very dangerous game right now. I have to see if it was the right call, as Azrael comes out of Degna 2 and is trying to get past Truth at the moment. Did see a blue marker coming up into the hairpin. Azrael trying to avoid any dirty air coming in. Oh, we didn't even consider dirty air in this, because these are Group 1 cars too. Oh, yeah, that's another factor to throw into the poll. But as we see now, we have seen that there are wets, softs, and intermediates all in tandem, really. This is a head scratcher. Honestly, it's just so unorthodox that I love it, but I also just smell impending disaster as Jorge Sr. gets on the inside line into 130R and gets the overtake done on Azrael. Azrael is gonna have to pit, Leo.
Yes, he is. And he goes sliding into the wall.
Oh my gosh. Oh, no brakes.
And that's unfortunately due to the softs, had no way to wick the water away and couldn't stop it.
At least he's close to the pits if he can get in there.
He's got to get there.
Because there's traffic coming. All right, Azrael's able to get it pointed the right way and is going into the pits. That is a huge relief to see.
I was watching Bobagito, and he had to tiptoe into the pits on those softs, so he went extra slow through that last section, but he didn't have any other cars around him kind of pushing him to go faster, and he's come out into P3 right behind Jorge Sr.
Yeah, he's in P3 right now on those intermediates. So Truth is on the wets, Jorge's on intermediates, Bobagito's on intermediates. So I guess as the rain comes down, we're going to see which one was the right call. Now, it looks like we do have a back marker coming out of Degna 2, but it looks like they got out of the way. That way they didn't slow down the racers. So that is great to see. And it looks like, no, it wasn't Papa. But Papa is to the wall.
He didn't get into the pit in time. He was still on the softs.
Yep.
He did not. Those
At least he's not the only one.
Yeah, he's not the only one, but my God, this rain is just brutalizing these soft drivers. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Jumping on board with True.
Oh, no.
Spins out and hits the wall. This race is taking no prisoners. My goodness.
And he was on the full wet, so you would think he would have a bit more grip. But now he's got front bumper damage and potentially on the slower tire.
Yeah, that is all very good points, TKs. Now coming into the Casio Triangle with Jorge Sr. and Bobagito. Looks like they're able to get through just fine. Let's see how Truth fares going through there. And looks like he's able to get through it fine. So moving over to Bobagito, who is currently coming in P2 and about a second and a half behind Jorge Sr. I was getting worried for a sec that Bobagito was going to outbrake himself and go into no man's land for a second. That would have been really unfortunate. Now taking a look over at Fast Cougar. Coming across the line, 12 seconds down. That rain is just not stopping. Oh my Lord. Leo, is it safe to say this is definitely the kitchen sink round?
I would think so. When I was running the laps here, it seemed like this car was pretty overpowered, in my opinion. Has a lot of low-end torque, so it gets the wheels spinning pretty quickly, and it's all-wheel drive, so you'd think it would help, but it makes it very slick, even in the rain and on the dry surface.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can definitely see where it's coming from. Just that low-end torque causing all the wheels to spin up at the same time really quick. Yeah, I think this is definitely
Talon just went off in P5.
Oh, yep, there he is. I was able to get it back on and only lost one position, but it could have been two, so good recovery from Talon. Coming into the hairpin. Let's see if Talon can hold on. I know there's dirty tires. It looks like, was able to get the car pointed back. So, yeah, thank God for that. As they start moving through, Alico definitely has the opportunity to get the overtake done on Talon. As comes into speed, Talon will still have dirty tires and brake lights coming on. Alico's getting really close. Let's see if they can get through this without any fuss, and it's looking like they will be able to. So, happy days on that one. Let's go and take a look at the replay for Talon and see what happened. So we got Talon coming up through Dunlop. On the good line. Yeah, that rain just chugging on down, really. And into Diagonal 1, just missed the apex, and off he went and was able to, safely get it back on track. Good awareness from Talon to avoid getting dinged by Fast Cougar on that one. It's unfortunate to see, really, but Talon was able to bounce back from it. So we'll just have to see how the rest of the race shakes up for him. Coming up into turn 1, it looks like we have one off course. It looks like Fast Cougar had gone off in turn 1. Let's see what happened here. So coming into turn 1 and onto the brakes and understeered off maybe? Oh,
yeah.
Just got a little bit of AstroTurf, and yeah, that AstroTurf is just very unforgiving, TKs.
It really is. I always say don't touch the green stuff because it'll destroy your race. And especially on that turn 1, you want to carry as much speed into the second part, turn 2, and sometimes you end up carrying a little too much speed, and as soon as that front left touches it, you have no chance of staying on the track.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Alico coming out of the hairpin and is able to hold on to the car. I've noticed that quite a bit of these cars are starting to get very squirrely coming out of the hairpin, but it looks like the track is starting to dry up, but the million-dollar question is, for how long? Because we had the track dry up, people got on the softs, and then immediately had to go back in and get back on the intermediates, and this this race really punished those that did not get onto those softs. Coming into 130R for Talon, holding on to P5, has about an 8-second deficit between himself and Chief Apollo at the moment, but it's about a second and a half ahead of Fast Cougar. So as long as Talon can keep the car pointing in the right direction, shouldn't have to worry too terribly much when it comes to losing position, as we jump back on board with Bobagito, who's currently sitting about 2.5, almost 2 3/4 seconds behind Jorge Sr. at the moment, and has about an 8.5-second gap between himself and Truth. So this is really working out in Bobagito's favor. As long as he can keep everything rolling in the right direction, it'll be A-okay. As I see, Darken Azriel has decided to go into the box, so I guess the rain is gone, but will it stay gone? We're going to just have to wait and see, Leo.
Yeah, we are. Me personally, I would probably just stayed on whatever intermediate or wet tire that he was on, because the track's still not dry enough to put all that power down. See how
He came out on the softs.
Ooh, that's a brave call there. He's gonna have to stick to that dry line. Yes, indeed, a risky little game indeed. He's either gonna have to go real slow or be brave enough to push it. But if he pushes it too hard, he's gonna get on that wet line and just turn into a Beyblade.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the possibility. But it looks like the track is drying up. I do see a little bit of sunlight. Ooh, yeah. He did get on a wet line, but was able to save it. Traction control is definitely going to be your best friend this race, because it just goes from wet to dry to wet, and there's no real way of knowing what the right way to go about this is. It's just too hard to tell. Bobagito and Truth have gone into the box though, and it looks like Jorge is going to stay out on the intermediates, maybe trying to get as much breathing room as possible. It looks like he has a 16-second gap between himself and Chief Apollo at the moment. So in terms of that, everything is, hunky-dory. But Truth hops on the soft. Will Fast Cougar hop on the softs as well? As we got Bobagito heading through Degna 1 and now into Degna 2. Fast Cougar does take the soft indeed, and up to the hairpin Jorge goes. This is going to be a little dicey. Those tires are falling off very, very quickly. And onto the dry line at the moment. And, onto the wet line a little bit to try and keep those tires as cool as possible. Looks like the sun is gracing us with its presence as we see Jorge go through Spoon. So
This is working out well for Bobagito. As you can see in the right-hand corner of the screen, he is catching on Chief Apollo, Bobagito being on the soft. So the undercut might have been the play here, but Jorge looks like he has a good enough gap that he might be safe. We're going to see here in just a minute when he goes into the pits if it's enough of a gap for him to stay in the lead.
Yep, this is now a game of wait and see, and Jorge does indeed go to the pits. TK, do you have a crystal ball on your table? Because if so, I need the lottery numbers. You just called that perfectly.
It was the most logical thing, and I've raced with Jorge enough to know that he's a logical guy. So it was the right play as Chief Apollo stays out as well, running in the wet line to keep those inters cool, and Jorge does come out ahead. Comes out in second, and now Bobagito all over the back of him. I'll let you take back over, Toon.
Thank you, TK. The biggest miracle of all of this is the fact that Jorge was able to get out of the pits and get onto the wet line to avoid carnage, all without spinning out. That is a testament to Jorge's driving ability. That is just fantastic work. But we do have Bobagito and Jorge bumper to bumper, and Chief Apollo is on the slower tires, so Jorge and Bobagito are going to have to find a way to get around Chief as soon as possible. As Chief off and Chief gets smacked too. Oh my lord! Did I curse Chief Apollo?
Didn't pick up any damage.
He was really lucky.
No, he did pick up 8 damage. Maybe he didn't get hit?
I think it was just a beautiful spin action and just narrowly. Oh! Some magic, some video game magic right there.
I think if he was pointed the wrong way, it ghosted him.
Yeah, I guess even with ghosting off, the game will, I guess, step in at some point if it's too terrible. So that was very, very fortunate for Chief Apollo, Jorge, and Bobagito, because if the game hadn't done that, this could have been a very different story.
Indeed, I was about to point out that it's so hard to pass here, especially if you're on the softs and you have to stay on the dry line. I couldn't figure out a way that they were going to get around other than him going into the pits, so that kind of took care of it for him.
Yeah, it definitely did take care of it for him. And just want to throw out coming into Bobagito got on the curb, and it looks like it knocked his car a little bit on the unsteady side for a second, but was able to keep control of it. And coming in through the S's, and looks like Bobagito is definitely staying as close as possible to Jorge, as Bobagito goes purple by over 8/10. My goodness, yeah, these lap times are about to get blindingly fast. And yep, sun is out, track is drying, temps are starting to warm up, which means these, that was a bold move from Bobagito getting onto the curbing for Degma 2. But as I was saying, these tires are really going to start coming into their own and starting to get comfortable, which means these drivers will have a little bit less to worry about. So we are only 4 laps away from the checkered flag, and yeah, with how this track is drying up, Leo, I think we're going to be seeing everybody start driving like madmen.
They are. I want to point out something. I've noticed that Jorge Sr. and Bobagito have both been getting on the wet lines in the straights to keep the tire wear down by cooling them off.
Yeah, that they are. It's just...
Yeah.
That was a little unsettling right there. Felt my heart stop for a second seeing that car get squirrely from the coming into 130R.
And that's something that as the track dries out, like the curbs don't dry out, right? Very quickly. And so it's crazy. These drivers are going to continue to push it, and as they do that, they're going to start touching the curb more and more. And you know, it could be that you just push it a little too hard and you're spinning around like we saw Chief Apollo.
Yeah, definitely going to be spinning around, and luckily for Chief Apollo, it didn't really cost him too terribly much. Yeah. It only went from P1 to P3, so still in battle for the podium, as the track is now pretty much bone dry. Going into Degna 1 for Jorge, as long as they stay off these curves and they don't try any heroic nonsense, I think these guys can start really sending these cars. Now coming up into the hairpin for Jorge Sr. and is able to get out completely unscathed. I do want to pose a question to both you and Leo, TK, starting with Leo first. How many drivers do you think didn't have any incidents during the rain?
I'm going to say 4.
4 drivers. All right. Ooh, Chief Apollo's intermediates are toast.
Yes,
that is
they're donezo.
I don't know if Chief's going to be able to hold on for the rest of the race on these intermediates. As we see Truth trying to find a way to get the overtake done. Will he do it on the inside? And he does, coming out of Boone. Now, TK, you've had the other eye in the sky. If you had to make an educated guess, how many drivers didn't have any shenanigans in the rain?
I believe Leo's correct. I think 4 is right around what it was. I think everybody else has had some type of, maybe not a spin, but a little dip in the gravel or in the grass. Very few have just been able to run a clean race, and I do think that Chief Apollo is going to try to run to the end on these intermediates. I think he'll lose too much time if he goes into the pits as well. So he's just going to stay out and do his best to make these enters last.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all you can do at this point. Now, Jorge and Bobagito getting a little squirrely, taking a little bit too much curb coming out of Degna 2, but they were able to save it just. And coming into the hairpin, and looks like, yeah, they found a completely dry line. So luckily, there is an opportunity for these guys to finish this race without any more headache. Because, yeah, as long as they're not on the curbs, there's really nothing that could set these drivers back. Now, I do want to commend Bobagito because he has stayed right on Jorge for a vast majority of this race. And Bobagito is going up by 1/10. So, yeah, these drivers are really starting to get comfortable, and they can, really get the racing underway instead of the cautious driving. As we see Talon overtake Chief Apollo in Spoon. Looks like Chief Apollo is going to be... Yeah, it looks like he might be susceptible to an overtake from Fast Cougar. If you're in a position like Chief Apollo is, TK... Ooh! Chief Apollo goes off but gets back on and is able to hold on to the position? Goes off again, and yeah, he's back in P5 for now, but I don't know, this is not looking too hot for Chief at the moment. But, I mean, TK's, if you're in a position like Chief is, where it's arguably too late to justify pitting, but your tires are gone. And looks like something happened to Chief Apollo. Don't know what happened there. But taking a look at Fast Cougar, now has a comfortable P5 at the moment. Then currently, 2.5 seconds away from Talon? Yeah, about 2.5 seconds away from Talon on the penultimate lap. Everything should be A-okay. At least as long as, no rally crossing were to happen. It looks like Fast Cougar does have a 12-second gap between himself and Alicos. So all Fast Cougar really has to worry about is catching up to Talon. And looking at the delta on the side, there is a possibility Fast Cougar might be able to catch up to Talon, but I'm not 100% sure. It's really just, I don't know, it's too many factors here. Also, Bobagito and Jorge have been hopping on that wet line to keep their tires cool, and I get it, but it also seems really risky. I don't know. Leo, could you shed any insight?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, getting on that wet line for a little while, tires are going to cool off, but that makes them cold, less sticky. So you have to brake way earlier than you would expect to going into that, and especially with it being on the pit wall. You're taking a really weird line, so you've got to pretty much dart back to the driving line to get into turn 1 to make that turn. It's pretty risky doing that, but it looks like these two have made it work for them.
Yeah, and you notice they only do it on the long straight, really. So they're not risking it in the curves trying to get on that wet line. It's on that big long straight where the steering wheel's staying straight. So it's the least risky spot to cool off the tires for sure.
Yeah, I definitely see where you both are coming from. It's a calculated risk. And it looks like Bobagito and Jorge are going to be able to get through this with relative ease. I do see that Bobagito's fuel is getting pretty low, so it looks like he'll have just enough to get through the rest of this race. Coming into 130R for the final time, Jorge Sr. still leading the pack, 1.5 seconds ahead of Bobagito coming into the Casio Triangle. And it looks like everything is A-okay. And that means rounding the last corner onto the start-finish straight and across the line. And looks like Lagtastics slows down a little bit as to not have to run another lap, which honestly, given the conditions, I don't blame him one bit.
Me either. They did a good job to get out of the way too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a really good track awareness and sportsmanship from Lactastics. Truth will take P3, which means it looks like Talon will be going in P4. Fast Cougar will comfortably be taking P5. And that just leaves Alikos and Dark and Azrael. As long as Alikos can get through this just fine, he won't lose P6 to Dark and Azrael. And it looks like Alikos is able to hold on and hold P6. And now Dark and Azrael is across, so that is everybody across the line. This was an experience.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Jorge Sr. for raising 5 positions and getting the race win. Taking a look at the provisional standings, we have PHG's Jorge Sr. taking P1 and also the fastest lap with a 146.484. Bobagito will take P2, and Bobagito commendably was right on Jorge the entire race. Rounding out our podium will be S7R to True Serum, followed by Talon, with Fast Cougar rounding out our top 5. Making our way down the order, we have Alikos in P6, Dark and Azrael in P7, and Lagtastics finishing out our finishers for this Division A race. Moving on over, we have Chief Apollo, PHG Papa, and W Fishtail, who all had some connection issues, and we unfortunately did not get to see them finish the race. So, all that said, Leo, what are your thoughts on what we just witnessed?
Well, good on the guys that stayed on the track. That's what I could say about it. I mean, we saw a lot of people going for spins, and that was a tough race. The little bit that I did do, I could barely keep the car on the track. So I commend these guys for, 1, racing with other people, 2, not spinning off into Narnia too much, and just not taking each other out because of the rain.
Yeah, honestly, they did the best with what they had, and not even for a moment did they lose track of their sportsmanship or anything. So hats off to them for surviving. TK, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and survival, a key word there. And much like in real life, when you have races like this, if you finish, you're going to get points because there's so much chaos. We saw with the disconnects and stuff. So just all the drivers that finished the race got points today. I know it wasn't enough for some of the drivers, but overall, we saw that was 20 stressful laps. And I mean, hats off to everyone.
Yeah, hats off indeed. Now let's go and make our way over to the post-race interviews and get their thoughts on what they just went through. Starting with S7R's The Truth Serum. Truth, how are you feeling after having the kitchen sink thrown at you?
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of disappointed. I haven't had a good race in this entire thing, but I'm happy that it's done because it was stressful. But I did enough to pick up points each race, so that's really the most important.
I gotcha. So let's go back through the race. We saw rain, and then it dried up, and then the rain came right back. What were your thoughts when you saw that sequence of events unfolding?
Well, I was expecting the rain to come back because I did some testing, and that's kind of what would happen. But what was different was the intensity of the rain at the beginning, because in some scenarios you can actually drive through the first half of the race, but in this one you couldn't. So then you had to watch. Then you had a decision to make as to whether to keep driving if you are on inters, I guess, or wets, to keep just driving through all of it, and not pit at all. So you could pit after the first bit of rain, get onto slicks, do that, then get back on some sort of a wet tire, then back on the slicks, or you could there was a bunch of combinations. Like you could just keep driving through the whole thing, and you know, there's all kinds of risk calculations involved. So I think I must have made a mistake somewhere, because both Jorge and Babajito must have made a better decision somewhere, because they gained like a bunch of time. But I did crash a bunch too at some point, and the rain just seemed worse than anything I experienced in practice. So, you know,
Yeah, that rain looked just absolutely monstrous from the booth, so it must have been worse for you guys on the track. But TK's?
Yeah, the truth. Great job, man. P3, solid. You finished the race. You finished on the podium. Great job. I'm curious about your qualifying. You did qualify on pole. I believe you were the last across the line on the slick tire. Was that the plan every qualifying you did, was to switch to the slick there at the end, or was that just a situational thing?
a little bit of both. It was really important to have understood how qualifying works, because in a lot of scenarios, like you would get like maybe like one hot lap, and then it would be too wet and it wouldn't matter because you'd be on inters, and you might get another one at the end. But then you had to watch, because there's some variability in it. So I kind of I had done some math, and I had figured out like at what point do I need to leave the pit to cross the line at the latest possible time, because that would give me the driest possible track at the end. And that was a bit of a game time thing because of the way that the weather went. So I was able to execute on that, and was fortunate. And then that gave me like a little edge there, so I was able to get a faster lap. And I kind of partly had that on my mind, because I got had last race with that, where everybody went out on slicks and I didn't, and I ended up at the back of the grid. So I was really thinking about it this time. So anyways, yeah.
Well, awesome. Congratulations, man. I know you said you're disappointed with your race results, but P3 today looks like it's done you good, and looking forward to the next race. Congratulations.
Yeah, and congratulations to Jorge and Babajito and everybody else for participating, and thanks to you guys for putting it on. It's a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to us. Leo, any questions for our P3 recipient?
Yeah. Congratulations, Truth. Been a minute since I've seen you up here. How much practice did you put into like going into this race, and how many different variables did you have to think about? And then once you got in, did you have to just make a decision on the fly pretty much?
Yeah, well, I didn't have tons of time for practice. Like I was only able to get on yesterday, but one of my teammates helped me out, so I was able to do like one practice run, and then 3 or 4 kind of just where I'm rebooting the lobby and driving for the first amount of minutes and laps to see how it plays out. But as I did that, I noticed that there was a lot of permutations, both for qualification and for the race, because the R3 is kind of, and 5 is a little bit squirrely. Like, it can vary a little bit, and then depending how much it varies, can make a big deal. And whoever put together this combo really knew what they were doing, because they added the time progression to 3, which ended up like making everything fall into this gray zone where you weren't sure. And depending on what went on, there was a lot of different ways. So that's the second part. You did have to make decisions on the fly. So, and then I was watching what other people were doing. I was like, okay, that guy went in. What is he coming out on? And like, trying to do all of this like calculations while I'm driving, which I'm not good at. So,
Indeed, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But congratulations again. You still made it up here.
Yeah, it's good. Happy generally. Just if you're not really competitive person, if you're not disappointed unless you win, right? Everybody wants to win, but that can't happen. So,
Indeed.
All right.
Right. But congratulations for the hard work. Congratulations for surviving that. And I hope you can just sit back and relax and just keep a close eye on what happens tomorrow.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Making our way over to our P2 recipient, CBR's Bobajito.
Hey, good evening, guys.
Hi, Bobajito.
Hey, what a fun race! Like, that was the most fun I've had in a race in a long time. Jorge was allowing me to keep up with him in his draft there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take off. But it was a lot of laps there at the end, and it was cool because we were on different strategies, and it still worked out to where we were close, and just really, really thrilling race.
Yeah, it looked like a thrilling race. And honestly, I do gotta ask, did you have did you feel like your heart stopped for a second when you were going through Degna 1 and 2 with Jorge and you saw Chief Apollo just start spinning out?
Yeah, I was surprised that didn't seem to affect Jorge as much as it did me. But yeah, that was one of, I don't know, 5 times that happened. A lot of earlier on in the race, and it was just, oh wait, hey, there goes someone else, and got lucky to where that didn't happen. It happened once to me, but I got really, really lucky to where I came right back out onto the track after I spun and kept going. So I got really lucky. But yeah, it happened to. If it didn't happen to somebody, yeah, very lucky not to.
I get that. T-Case.
Oh yeah, Bo Vegeta, great job. Thank you so much for giving us an entertaining race, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So started P5. Were you disappointed in that qualifying? Were you expecting to qualify higher, or was that about where you were thinking?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't know where I'd be. I was happy with 5, and I took tonight and was like, I'm gonna have a fun race from the beginning, and it didn't disappoint. It was I had a great time throughout the entire race. It was just interesting to see where you were going to wind up after the pits and everything, and it was fun driving the chicken bacon ranch car around that my boys at Cornbread put together for me, and so yeah, it was a good time.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations. It looks like it's going to be tight between you and Jorge on points. See what shapes out tomorrow to see where you make it into the finals where you're going to be starting. But congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and Leo, any questions for our P2 recipient?
Of course there is. Bo Vegito, congratulations. I guess my question would be, when you were following Jorge on that wet line, was that to keep the tires, the soft tires, going for the rest of the race, or were y'all just trying to get the draft from each other?
Yeah, no, I'm sure he was doing the same, just trying to make the tires last longer. That way they stay fresher towards the end. We had enough soft tire, but once they start going halfway down, it's harder to take those turns so aggressively coming into them, at 170 miles an hour. And so, yeah, it was just a cool strategy. And I'm glad he was over there too, because it allowed me to keep up with him.
Yeah, we were trying to figure that out. I was like, is he trying to keep his tire wear down by dipping into the water? And indeed he was. But it looks like it worked out for you, and congratulations again.
Yeah, appreciate it, and congrats to Jorge and Truth, and appreciate the league and announcers. Y'all do a great job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And thanks so much for your time. You can now rest and relax. The hard part is over for this week. So, yeah, you go unwind and just pay close attention to what happens tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And now making our way over to our race victor, Jorge Sr. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right. So let's address the elephant in the room. Last week didn't go according to plan. How much of a motivator was that to come in here and right the wrongs this week?
Yeah, I was pretty motivated. I made a bad decision last week. Like, the weather gets tricky, and I was the only one that screwed that up. So yeah, this week wanted to redeem myself for sure.
Well, it looks like you definitely did. Over to you, T-Case.
Yeah, you definitely redeem yourself, Jorge. Fantastic job, man.
Thank you.
Glad I get to be interviewing you on this victory here. So much like I asked the other guys, you started P6, so you started the furthest back of the 3 podiums. With starting P6, did you think that you had a chance at a victory, or were you just thinking I need to move up whatever I can?
Yeah, I mean, it's really like a race of attrition for sure. So I thought anything can happen, but no one was really making any mistakes towards the beginning of the race. And then obviously there's all these weather changes and I see people going into the pits when I wasn't expecting that. So like, I think it was the Truth Serum was saying it, he's trying to figure it out on the fly. He's watching what people are doing while trying to drive. Yeah. I mean, I was doing the same thing. Going, what is that guy doing? And then so you got to kind of rework your whole plan, or I had to rework my whole plan. So yeah, I don't know. I was surprised by the qualifying position, and I was just like, yeah, just don't crash. That was really my whole strategy, especially in those early laps when everyone's bunched up. Just don't take anyone out, don't take myself out, and pray for the best.
Well, it worked. Your prayers were answered because you made it look easy out there, and there's a lot going on behind you that you probably couldn't see, of people just spinning left and right. So you did a great job of keeping it on the track and moving forward. Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
And over to you, Leo.
Hey, congratulations. You made it to P1, Jorge Sr. Love to see it. Did you have a heart attack when you saw Chief Apollo go right in front of you?
I don't know. It kind of happened so fast. I don't even think I had time to think about it or react to it. It was just kind of like, oh, there's a sideways car in front of me. And then, ghosting is off, but I think he came back into me and was ghosted because I saw the rear of his car kind of like slide across in front of my car. So I don't know. I'll have to check the replay to see if I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, it was all a blur.
You are, because we saw it too. What we're thinking is because he was backwards on the track, the game would automatically ghost him.
Right, that makes sense.
So, but at least you didn't have a heart attack from that. That's a good thing.
But I will say, Degna, it was that Degna 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That exit curb is deadly. I mean, I probably crashed on it 20 times during practice. So I was like 100% not going to touch that curb the entire race. If you touch it, there's like a 99% chance you're going to die. And so any time I was behind someone going through there, I kind of anticipated it. Just like, all right, are you going to touch it? Because if you do, you're screwed.
So you knew it going into it. You're like, yeah, no, not touching that thing. And
so
it
I don't think it was
for you.
Yeah, I don't think it was a shock. That's what I'm saying. I think when he spun, I was like, oh, you broke the cardinal rule. You can't touch it.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. You get to see what happens the next go around.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Very stressful.
Yeah, I could definitely see how it'd be stressful, but now the stressful part is over for the most part, so you can go and relax and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. And with all of that being said, we're going to take one final break, and we will be back at you with at least the standings when we come back. So go grab a snack, grab a drink, do whatever you need, and we will see you all back here momentarily. Welcome back, everybody. It is time. We unfortunately bring this night to a close. Normally, this is where you would be getting the details of the next race, but to know what's going to happen in the finals, you will have to tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. My name is Toon, brought to you by T-Case and Leo, and we would also like to quickly give one last special thank you to our sponsors. So our first sponsor we'd like to give a special mention to is Hanky's Tavern in Old Town Florissant. Trust me, people, I've been there. You need to go. That place is awesome. It's a great atmosphere, great food, great beverage, great people. You will not be disappointed, and you can catch the NRL live and on replay on their outdoor patio. So if you're in the St. Louis area, make sure you stop on by and tell them the NRL sent you. And as always, if you ain't first, we're open till 1:30 a.m. We would also like to extend another thank you to Little J CPA. I know tax time is over, but your books still need balanced. If you have any accounting needs, be it in tax season, outside of tax season, go to Little J CPA. You can email them at zboyd@littlejcpa.com and steer clear of tax troubles with Little J CPA. With all that said and done, let's go and take a look at the provisional Division A standings. After, a very, very eventful Division A Friday race. So currently leading the charge for Division A is PhD Jorge Sr. with 57. And tied for P2 is Wid and Bobagito with 51 apiece. In P4 we have Talon with 40. MMR Moose 25 rounding out our top 5 with 36 points. PHG Fast Cougar and the True Serum taking P6 and 7 respectively. P8 we have S7R Nuke with 25. Cyrus Nicky with 24 and P9. Alicos in P10 with 22, a tie for P11 with PHG Lyric and Darken Azriel. PHG Rick Shear sitting comfortably in P13 with Almost Podium sitting on P14. Making our way over to P15, we have a tie between Subi and Caper with 12 points, Chief Apollo with 11, PHG Salamander MN and Digital Ray both sitting at 10 points. PHG Papa sitting with 6 points in P20. Lactastics in P21 with 5. A three-way tie for P22 between Shelled, RSR Ace, and Boku for P22 with 2 points. We got a tie for P25 with Luis and Felmora with 1. And we have Deputy Fishtail and Bandit 1 tied for P27 with 0 points. Well, we have had a very, very eventful night, but tomorrow will be just as eventful, so you make sure to tune in to find out who makes the final tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. British Summer Time. Make a conversion to your local time zones where applicable, and you can find that broadcast right here on McNaughty Gaming YouTube. All right, I think that's pretty much it for us this evening. If you want to catch us out in the wild, you can find T-Case over here on YouTube, where he streams Gran Turismo and hosts weekly GT7 lobbies with fun car combinations, so make sure you don't miss out on either of those. You can find Leo over here on YouTube, where he streams Gran Turismo, Satisfactory, and whatever else tickles his fancy that day. And you can find me primarily over on Twitch, where I yell and play whatever tickles my fancy. But with all that said and done, it has been a pleasure to have your company this evening. It has been an honor to entertain all of you. And we will see you all next week for the finals. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Saturday semifinal rounds. So till next time, stay safe, stay well fed. Make sure you take care of yourself and each other, and we will see you all in the very near future. Bye-bye for now.